Futures back to the upside here this morning as we get into the final Fed week of 2024. We'll hear from Fed Chair Powell coming up midweek this week. A lot of people pointing to another quarter point cut to come this week. We'll talk about that coming up. The market shrugging it off. The march to the upside continuing here after a bit of a pause on Friday. We're back to session highs right now, 0.5% for the NASDAQ. The S&P 500, not SY, SPY. About the same, back above that 606 mark. It was straight to the southbound side right out of the gate on Friday. A little bit worse off for the S&P than the NASDAQ heading into the weekend. We'll see how things shape up this week. Tons to talk about today. Tesla back to the upside this morning as well, holding on to 440 right now, full percent. SMCI, not so much. Downside, 32, what is that, 25 coming into play right now, 11.5% off the lows though. Coming out of the NASDAQ 100. Guess what's going into the NASDAQ 100? Palantir, green to red already this morning. We'll touch on that. mRNA, another one coming out, not really doing a heck of a lot, but 0.6% here. So a number of changes to come on the final index change for the NASDAQ coming up. I guess will be next week for that. But last Fed meeting of 2024. Yeah. We're here already.
Hopefully we get that 25 basis point cut that we've been pricing in. Bitcoin could continue to rise on that. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. Lots to talk about, as you mentioned, Brendo. So this has got to be like one of the shortest stints into the NASDAQ 100. I don't know. I think they got put in July. I'm talking about SMCI. They didn't hang out for that long, maybe 6 months or so. Getting removed on market cap considerations, or so the article I wrote, read today said. Axon getting added as well. Tesla to talk about. Apple apparently coming out with foldable phones and possibly foldable iPads in early 2026, late 25. So lots to talk about.
Yeah, I was reading about that, and a thinner version. I was reading about a thinner iPhone coming out as well. So yeah, Apple, I mean, so strong in the past couple of weeks. Here's Bitcoin. Meanwhile, we touched out above 106 early on. We're back to the downside red actually right now, to the tune of just 0.4%. But more rumblings over the weekend from the incoming Trump administration that Bitcoin Reserve could be a thing. So all-time highs here for BTC. Some of the equities related joining the party to the upside here, guys. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, happy Monday. Yeah, it's going to be a good one, I think. Yeah, we're back. We've got Joe's already here. We're ready to rock and roll. It's going to be an hour until the market opens up here. It's going to open up pretty strong. NASDAQ up 0.5% right now, all-time highs. Tesla busting through all-time highs right now. Yeah, Costco. You know what? I missed that.
And Superman. And look, man, the market is my Buffalo Bills right now. We get fresh highs every single day. Tesla is Josh Allen and Tesla. They're channeling the same thing. They just dropping 40 and dropping all-time highs on everybody every single day. I'm in a good mood. I cannot lie. That said, nobody told me I'm supposed to wear white today. Like, I don't even know what happened. Like, every single person on the show is wearing white except for me.
This is like a cream color.
I see what's up. It is what it is, man. But I'm obviously in a good mood. Your boys handled business last night as well. But
yeah.
Fresh highs, baby.
The thing is, I like the Buffalo Bills, but as Packer fans, we have expectations of winning it all. Like we've been there before, so we sort of like we lower our, I mean, for the Bills.
Maybe we'll see you.
For the Bills, like I want them to make the Super Bowl. I think once they make it there, then I think it's because they did. I mean, obviously Detroit is the cream of the crop, as what everyone thought.
Not anymore,
so that's what I'm saying. So if that comes into the Super Bowl, I think there's going to be a really good chance there for the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, Tesla SMCI. I mean, we're looking at that. That should be pretty exciting.
Microstrategy. Don't sleep on them. So I think one of the cool things about the additions and deletions, the additions here and deletions is like it gives you on a week where there might not be like a ton of. There's still a few earnings left to go to. Like we have this week we'll have. It's Micron that reports on Wednesday. That's kind of a big one. And then we get the Fed. Like, it gives you some volatility, I think, in several names. Not that they needed it, but you're now in new territory with MicroStrategy. I think it's diddling a bit. I'm kind of hoping it'll be a buy the dip off the open. But one of the names that we didn't even, or maybe it did get mentioned, it's not moving yet, is what I would say for Moderna. One of the names coming out of that NASDAQ 100. But we've said it before. This one looks like a little bit of a flat bottom break here. Like the 41 has just been holding. So I don't know if you get a pop to fade. Seems unlikely. But this one could easily flat bottom break here, the 41 level on mRNA. It's all well and good for the names that went in, but you got to remember those that came out.
Yeah, it should be a good one there. I was just noticing right now NVIDIA is starting to go just a little bit upside right now. Nice day to try to buy those dips there on Friday. NVIDIA came close to that 130. We got to 133 and change there near the open. I guess the open was the bad part on Friday there. And then we sort of, I was going to say near the open, but I guess that was 11 o'clock. Down there at 133. And then we were there this morning, and then boom goes the dynamite here as the NASDAQ upside as well. So NVIDIA turning green on some pretty strong moves. AMD, I saw also was close to that 125 mark. I mean, that's something that's pretty interesting there as well. My son's snowboarding lessons there, 8 trips up north. That bill went through on the weekend, yeah. So I need to figure out some trades.
That's a little something.
Yeah, it was a couple grand, but you know what? It's worth it at the end of the day for him. I think he'll like it. Never been snowboarding before. Palantir, $76. I mean, here we go. So we've waited. Not that we've waited for this day. I mean, we've known about Palantir for a while. The thing is that this, getting added into the NASDAQ 100, it had such a huge boost. This is the day that it came over because we're not charting anything after that. So it came over at $65, and that was beginning December, end of November, there last week in November, and ripped up to $82. So what was that on? I mean, they got a couple $100 million contracts, so on and so forth, and we know we really like the name, but part of that move up is probably baked into the decision that was made on Friday. So we'll figure out here with Palantir getting in and out there with Microstrategy, and then Axon, I guess, as well. And then the name that
thing needs a split.
I mean, you want to talk about a stock that has basically, getting pointed at every direction. I mean, Moderna, wow. This name back in June, man. This was May of end of May, right? This year, $170, man, down to 40 and change there. I don't know, RFK, the lawyer there wanted to study the effects of and the scientific backing of polio, but he's also saying that he's not taking out that vaccine. So I don't know. I guess you know what? When they're talking about removing vaccines in your business's vaccines, it's not good. It's not a good one. And now they've combined. And now they're getting even worse because now they've combined the flu and COVID shots in one shot. So now, if you don't want them, now you don't get that at all. They're not getting any. I don't know if they're getting any business either way. Moderna, and then the other one, which a lot of people are most invested in. Oh, yeah, Moderna, the weekly. Yeah, but then the Pfizer here. This is also pretty bad to the downside there. I haven't looked at that BioNTech stock that they're in bed with as well on the vaccines. The thing about Pfizer is, and I'm not sure what Moderna's dividend is, if anything.
I don't think they paid it.
Yeah, if they do, it should be nothing at this point. Pfizer still is paying, and you are still right at some levels here. There's going to have to be decisions made. I feel like there's an overreaction. Oh, the other name that I think has caught a bid or could catch a bid. Oops, J&J, not JJN. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
He's nice.
Good player. Wrong team.
Bad quarterback, though.
Man, I can't believe they were wearing those ugly green uniforms last night. I was like, oh my God, man. Not only are the Packers going to destroy you, but you guys look like clowns.
There were more Packer fans at that game.
Of course there are, man. We travel, man.
Seattle, man.
Yeah, look at J&J. J&J trading at these really, they've had great quarters. They're not missing. I mean, they're just, again, healthcare, right? It's getting hit to the downside right now. This is actually a name that I think I'm going to step in. Let's look at this, but this is something that is at one of those levels again, man. I missed John Deere when it went down into 350 and change. Now you have J. So that's just a couple names there. I think J&J is much safer than those vaccine plays. But yeah, see, Deere's nowhere near that 350 now. And I just see J&J down there at the bottom. Let us know in the chat if you like any of those calls there, what you're looking at from a depressed asset side of things. Because we can't just always talk about the Googles of the world and the Teslas that are making all-time highs, you know, or the Metas that are making all-time highs. I mean, these stocks still exist, right? I mean, all of us are trading the Mag 7 every day. If you're looking to put, you know, money to work, are you putting it at NASDAQ all-time highs? We'll have to wait to see. NASDAQ right now, upside, and Bitcoin trying to hold exactly 104 as well. Some nice moves. I mean, I don't know what Michael's going to be talking about soon. He's going to be coming up in just a couple minutes, but yeah.
Probably
I mean,
more crypto is my guess.
Is that what? Is that what?
Well, I'm going to
I don't know if he's talking about like opportunities to dip buy things. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear a name if he had something in mind.
The lack of market breadth.
I like uranium.
Another stock about to make 52-week high is SoFi.
Boom.
That is going to. Well, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, it's like within pennies. It's like within pennies of breaking it here. So like a lot of crypto adjacent type names making some power moves as well. I mean, what not to like? We always joke about this one versus Robinhood, and as you can see, Robinhood has a decent chance of breaking one out here today as well. There's a lot to like in this market. It was just a guess that Mr. Noss will be talking about some crypto. We'll see as we head back up to the desk.
All right, let's bring in Michael Noss. Yeah, he wants to talk about Santa Claus and what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks here or allegedly what's going to happen going not only into Christmas, but first week of January to come. Sharif and I were just saying, it's the last Fed meeting coming up this week. It's, we're winding down, a couple of weeks to go here in 2024. It's just flown by.
I know, it's been an insane year. I can only hope that next year is as fun as this year was. But yeah, it's this time of year. It's time to go over the Santa Claus rally, which a lot of people get really confused on. I hear some people say that it's all of December, and some people thinking it's just for when Christmas is happening. But let's go over the stats here. So the first picture I've got Santa Claus, and I've got him holding the Stock Traders Almanac. Again, I have no affiliation here, but if this kind of seasonality is interesting to you, I highly recommend it. I've met Jeff Hirsch, I think, once in my life, but Jeff and that family has been doing this Stock Traders Almanac where they look at the seasonality of these trends for years and years and years. I think like 80 years plus when it comes to it. So a lot of this data comes from this as well. So let's just start going through the stats, because the beauty of it is that this is something that we can study every year, so we've got a lot of stats for it. So the first screenshot here, this is just actually when the Stock Traders Almanac talks about the Santa Claus rally. So we're talking the 23rd to the 4th. So it's the last, I believe, 5 trading days of the current year, and then the following trades of the next year. Now, this is December. I couldn't find a calendar for a graphic for this year, but so that's what it is, the last 5 trading days and then the 2 trading days into next year. And then the next one is just the average return. The next chart I have here is just the average return during that time. So I've got the actual stats, just one up. There we go. Perfect. So basically, what is a Santa Claus rally? It essentially just means between that time that I just mentioned, the last 5 trading days of this year, the first 2 of next year, we average a 1.3 roughly return. And that return varies from plus 5% to negative 10%. And that's one thing that I want to highlight on, is that if we don't get the Santa Claus rally, you can see the couple days that dip there, but this is going all the way back to 1950 that they studied it. The years that we don't get the Santa Claus rally, you're talking nearly a 10% dip from that time. That's the lowest dip that we have, which is pretty wild. So hopefully we don't get anything like that. Now, what's the probability that we get that 1 to 5% up move for that period of time? It's roughly 80%, and this is why people get very, very excited for it. There's very few things that you can study in the market and say there's an 80% chance in history that this thing occurs, that for that period of time, we get that up move of, again, 1 to 5%. 80% of the time is pretty wild, and that's what, if we don't get that, that's what the next slide I have, which is the saying that is in that particular book all the time. And it says, if Santa Claus should fail to call, bears may come to Broad and Wall. For those who don't know, Broad and Wall is the corner at which Wall Street resides. So the idea is pretty simple. What we're looking for is this last 5 trading days to get us this Santa Claus rally that we should see some general upward movement. And then if we don't, there's a whole series of things that we look for in January that could tell us whether we're in for a bad beginning to next year. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about why, right? And we talked about this a little bit before, where there's a lot of things financially that happen at the end of the year. Hedge funds pay out their bonuses. So whether or not the hedge fund traders have been doing well or not. So sometimes there's a bit of a scramble to make sure that you're invested in the things that have been doing well this year. It also, when it comes to things like tax loss harvesting, there's not a lot of time for that. So there's going to be a lot of people selling losers and a lot of people buying winners. I heard in the green room, Neil talking about, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in the after hours, that there's not a lot of breadth in the market right now. We're being led by names like Tesla and NVIDIA and a lot of these big names. And that's happening a lot, again, because all of this stuff that's happening at the end of the year. So some of this is just generally, I think people think that the Santa Claus rally happens because everybody's happy and they're having a good time and it's Christmas and the spirits are lifted, and that may contribute to some of it. For me, it's taxes that are going to make the most sense. So take a look at the stuff that has done well all this year, and especially into the end of this year. The seasonality shows us that that's going to be the stuff that could propel us higher going into the end of the year, and then vice versa on stuff that has suffered this year, things that are hitting new all-time lows, couldn't get off the mat this year. That's where funds are going to look to harvest those tax losses. So you could see this bifurcation of winners winning a lot over this last week or so, and losers losing a lot over that last week or so. And then lastly, what I want to do is I don't just trade the Santa Claus rally, but I want to watch it. If we get what everybody is expecting we get, that's great. It means the market goes up a little bit. That's good for us. But if we don't, then that's really good information. And if that happens, I'll dive into it and I'll come back on the show and talk about what we could be seeing if we don't get the Santa Claus rally.
And it might be worth reiterating the simple fact that people shouldn't really overthink this too much and say, I'm going to go pick a few stocks and make 10% or make 12% in the next week and a half here. It's the market we're talking about, the overall market. So, if somebody was sitting there saying, okay, I want to take a stab at this 80% shot that we get some sort of gain between now and the second, as you said, second trading day of 2025, maybe the broader market, the best place to be.
Yeah, that's what all the data is done on, is the S&P 500. It's the oldest index. It's the one that generally performs the best. So that's what everything's done on, is just the S&P 500. And the beauty of that is I talked a lot about the winners winning and the losers losing. The S&P 500 is kind of built so that will reward that anyway. Names like Tesla that are hitting new all-time highs are large components of the S&P 500 anyway. So it could be just a great vehicle to play it.
A lot of, this was kind of last week, but a lot of people were asking a little bit about the whole tax loss harvesting process and what that actually means for retail investors and what that means for the overall market. You want to just summarize that just for, you hit on it there briefly, but you want to just summarize that a little bit, because I'm sure we'll get more questions.
Absolutely. So first of all, not an accountant, so don't take this as tax advice. But generally speaking, what happens is if you have a capital gain, so I buy a stock at 10, it's worth 12. If I sell that, I have to pay the government some. If I buy a stock at 10 and it's worth 8, well, and I sell it, I don't have to pay the government because I don't have any gains. So what will happen quite a bit is, as these funds look at their books at the end of the year, they'll say, okay, I have all of these things that I can sell, and they generate tax losses. And I can apply those tax losses against a tax gain. So if I lose $100,000 in stock A and I make $100,000 in stock B, and I sell the both of those, then I'm not making anything when it comes to the government. So what generally will happen is I have a stock, NVIDIA, Tesla, a lot of these names that I'm up really, really big on. And if I sell into the end of the year or sell part into the end of the year, I'm going to have a very big tax burden, and I don't want to have a tax burden. So I'm going to sell a lot of these ones that aren't working so that I can kind of net those two out and say, well, really, I only made a much smaller amount because I'm taking these tax losses. So what happens is you can generally see the names that most people will have tax losses on. And those are stocks that are just in downtrends all year and making new lows. So if, as a large institution, I'm going to sell this company that's making a new all-time low, to lessen my tax burden on my Nvidia and Tesla and these names that are doing very well, that will cause that kind of bifurcation where I'm selling down the names that are already in downtrends, already don't have good bids behind them because they're in downtrends. They're not companies that people want to buy. And I'm doing that so I don't need to sell as much of the thing that is doing well. So you'll get more selling in the downtrend name, you'll get less selling in the uptrend name. So that split gets really, really wide into the end of the year. And then sometimes you get a reversal where someone may actually want to own that name that they sold, and after the wash sale rules, which are very complicated, they'll end up buying those back. So sometimes you have this bifurcation that actually ends up reversing when it comes to end of January, February of next year.
Yeah, we'll watch this play out over the next week and a half or so going into, I can't believe it's already 2025. Michael Moss back with Neil on the recap after the close tonight. We'll see you then.
I'll talk to you then.
And looking forward to it. Thank you, Michael. And, you know, we were actually last week we were talking about a few potential names that you might think are being held down by tax loss harvesting. Like think about, Moderna would be a good example of that. I mean, you're probably down on it. Intel's an example of a stock that pretty much if you bought this year, you should be down on it. And I think that's the kind of name that'll do better in the new year. Like it has a better chance to make that bottom in the new year. And thank you, Randy. Yeah, I've got the double. Got it again. Freezing cold, ready to go. That's all. You got to kind of warm it up, Randy. Randy was waxing poetic about how terrible Ford is all morning long. You could probably throw that one into the tax loss harvesting bucket as well. Just saying.
Yeah, if anybody's, and here's a name here that you could pick on too if you were in Broadcom this year and you were selling something recently. You cannot not have a big win because there it is, finally breaking through its summer sort of doldrums there where we touched out the top in the mid of June. Then all of a sudden here, Randy, on earnings, nicely blown to the upside. And all you had to do was buy Broadcom down there at the beginning of the year at $105. And now today, upside $233 Broadcom right now. So that's another name there that, nicely upside, and doesn't appear to be too much tax selling on this name as it continues higher. And then, of course, because Randy's here, we also look at Tesla breaking all-time highs today as well, going through that 240 mark. Old all-time high, 236. There goes Tesla right now. You know, just in 2 weeks, it's up from $340 up to $440. So just up a paltry 27% in 2 weeks goes Tesla. So I think Rivian was
not bad.
North of 13, right? Yeah, 14. Yeah, so
pretty good.
I mean, we were talking about that at $11, so you're up now again. Same kind of thing there. 28. I mean, even the same time there. Nice play there. Long in tens. 11.50 up to 14.50. So that's $3 on this name as well. So huge move on some of these plays, and of course, we were talking as well about Ford, which looks like it's going the other way now, breaking down through 10. So here's the Ford chart. It's complete.
Is that $10?
Opposite.
Oh, no way.
Now.
Is it $10?
So Oppo Taco right there.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Oh, man. 960.
Did you say Oppo Taco?
Yeah.
A guy I played ball with has a baseball brand called Oppo Taco.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he sells hats. Yeah, it's a... But no, I actually didn't know Ford was down at $10. Like I said that jokingly. I thought maybe they were flat today. Is there even? That's so bad. This could break. This is a flat bottom break as well through $10 here on Ford. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? That's not good at all. This one could be headed back down to its lows for some tax loss selling. I think we're ready to get some upgrades and downgrades.
All right.
I'm just going to throw this one out there. Probably no upgrades on Ford. Probably not.
Upgrade?
If there's a Ford upgrade, I mean, I'll eat a pineapple pizza.
No, I mean, no. All right, let's see. We have to find it. That's mine.
That's yours. This one's open.
All right.
Someone asked me to open the banana. I'm like, I already.
Whenever you're ready there, Fabes.
No? Upgrades? Downgrades?
Fabby.
On the list today, but not as an upgrade. We're going to start with the upgrades here. Macy's with this upgrade from Gordon Haskett. Okta getting upgraded by JP Morgan Chase. ConocoPhillips here with an upgrade from Mizuho. And last but not least, JP Morgan Chase with another upgrade here, this one for NetApp. On the downgrade side of things, Netflix kicking things off here. Loop Capital with a bit of a mixed analyst note here, saying that they are kind of wondering where Netflix's story goes from here with regards to some of its content. Then we have Ford with a downgrade, of course, from Jefferies Financial to underperform. So you can read more about that note in actually our watch list. Check that out. Then Nike here with a downgrade from Telsey Advisory Group ahead of its earnings report later this week. And Exxon, last but not least, getting downgraded by TD Cowen. Lots of big names here on both sides of the list, guys.
Okay, so obviously Ford is actually there, which that'll explain why it's down 3%. And don't get me wrong, it actually does look like a little bit of a potential flat bottom break there, although Moderna's got one at 41, and that obviously has a pretty decent catalyst. There's a few names that look ridiculously good, I should say, on trends up. Netflix, which you saw on that board, has been one of them. And it's just sort of holding this nice little top. I feel like, this is one where it's in a bit of a consolidated phase. I don't know whether you get a chance to trade back up at like 935, but if you see up there, that's been a bit of a sell zone. I just think when a stock is in an uptrend and in a consolidative trend off that top, this is the double test of the high. The low in here was a prior high right around like 905. I think this week that puts like 905 on the radar. And now reminded that we said that. I know I said that last week because we made a crack about the 905 when I did. But yeah, Netflix can be on radars as well. Obviously not a name that we normally trade on the show, but anything it's in an upward trend, holding consolidation, like your places to look, or whether it breaks out the top or it retests that support level. Everything in the middle is just diddling that I wouldn't want to touch. Yikes, Ford. That's bad.
Yeah, same old kind of stuff here for Ford. Interesting to see Macy's again on the upgrade list there. Macy's down to $16, but has had that bounce again off of, this actually did happen here on earnings, down to 14. So that was something there, a complete recovery back. Looking like it wants to have a good support base now that we're clear through their earnings report. Macy's, again, retail's looking pretty strong. I mean, we've seen names like Amazon. It's been a story of kind of different names. We've talked about Walmart and Costco and how they've all been going strong, but Macy's, again, nice little bottom spot there as they regroup with their inventory control. So, I mean, I like the stock, again, a pretty iconic name. So Macy's on an upgrade, potentially looking to break that 200 period. So we got to get through 1750 before we do anything for M, which is Macy's. So we're getting close to that one as well. I mean, again, I like the space. I still think there's a lot of room to run for Walmart. So I just think that once we start talking more about online presence, we'll see there. Yeah, Bed Bath and Beyond. Yeah, that was an iconic name as well. Yeah. So the thing is that when you get caught up in some of these names, you have the base where you can get out. So like if you're looking at a name, like an Intel, which is going to be on the sticky note today, you have so we could sit here and say we want to go long on Intel, but when you're looking at the stock and you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe what is the next opportunity to gain 40% in a stock, right? You don't have to love Rivian, but you can see that the $10 could possibly be a bottom. So when it goes from 10 to 15, it's like, okay, well, this is what I'm trying to say about this name here. And a few of those other names, just like a Macy's. At some point, you're going to say, okay, if I'm going long on Intel right now, hopefully we have discipline enough to set a stop order in and around 1850, which is that bottom. So if it breaks lower, then we're out and we'll lose that 15%, and that sucks. But you have that opportunity for some potential good news to hit the name, and you're starting to go back to the north side. So I'm not recommending Intel, but those are some things that you look at in order to catch those major bottoms. I mean, you can't, I still think that macro is very, very important in these names. You don't necessarily want to slide into something, but Micron's trying to break a little bit higher right now.
Micron looks good too, yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be a couple names that are worth looking at.
Not that I'd put Micron into an Intel bucket. It's just a matter of, this one actually looks pretty good. I guess this is in the watch list. We'll probably end up talking about it. But I mean, anything that's holding or regaining the 50 period and trying to play a little catch up, you like that for a recovery play. And now holding above 106. I think it's got room this week to 110. They report on Wednesday. One of the few names that's still, halfway decent size that needs to report. And we'll get them after the bell Wednesday, after the Fed on Wednesday. But let's see how the markets overall are doing. We got to talk some futures up at the desk.
Ooh.
Just watching EHR here, 16.7%, just popped back up in front of me. 1350 being tested right now, a new $10 million contract for them. They test semiconductors. Sorry, AI semiconductors specifically. So AEHR, nice move so far this morning.
All right, Brendo, let's have a look at the ES December contract. 60.55 is where we closed out on Friday, so we continue to defend that 50-point level, and we have been for the past week or so. We're at the overnight high. We're at the high right now, 60.75, 60.76, continuing to move up. Let's look at that 6,100-point area again as resistance, and we'll use the same area as support, 60.50.
If you haven't done so, make sure you jump down to the description of this video right now. Top link in the description will get you to the sign-up page for the watch list. Absolutely free. Every single day comes out right before we come on at 8:30. Everything you need to know on it, charts, names, news, whatever you want in the pre-market for the overall market. Down in the description right now, just enter your email address. 2% right now for Coinbase. I'm just going through a couple of these. Here's Mara as well, 3% to the upside. We haven't looked at Riot for a while, but 3.6% for Riot. Back to all-time highs, as we said, if you joined us in the first 30 minutes for Bitcoin, above 106 on more rumblings over the weekend of the Trump administration going full Bitcoin reserve when they take power under a month.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. Speculation is that, you know, the Treasury Department starts hoarding this like they do with other financial assets. So we'll have to all wait and see once that pans out January 20th and subsequent. So we'll keep an eye on rates as well, because we're widely expecting a 25 basis point cut. And lower interest rates often lead to a weaker dollar, obviously, because you're getting paid less to stay in cash, which is positive correlation for Bitcoin's value. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Overnight, got on my platform anyway, Brendo, 106,872, and I let everybody know that it was a new high.
And Fabian was quick to let us know this morning that the euro price also over 100,000. So a lot of positive numbers here, guys, in this group this morning. What are we looking at?
I feel like that says a lot about the USD euro more than there, Fabian. But there's a few names that you can watch today. I guess. Look, I like SoFi breaking out its 52-week high. So I guess we'll throw that one out there. There's a 52-week high. It's a couple of pennies from here, 16, 60, 61. I like the 65 if it's going to break out. Here, you look at a lot of things. And I was just looking at Coinbase for you guys. Coinbase has a pretty solid range from last week. I kind of think like 310. This is why I didn't love to put this one on the list. I feel like SoFi's at a good spot where it could break away, but Coinbase, the previous close, 310 looks good, and it needs to take out like 325, so it's diddling in the middle, unfortunately. I think that's one I'll probably stay away from unless it goes dip and rip. If this goes dip and rip into 310, great. It's $6 away right now. That's doable for Coinbase, but when it's trading in the middle, it's probably a don't touch. The NASDAQ changes include MSTR, so we can talk about MSTR when it comes to the changes. I think it has a good chance of rallying, but not just because of the addition, but you throw in the fact that Bitcoin is up, and we'll talk about that one next. I just happen to like SoFi more than a coin or a Mara, which I'd usually trade.
Okay, so just looking at Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, I think when we're looking at IBIT, we can talk about some key levels as well. But this is the 200 period moving average on a 15-minute chart. We've been sort of trying to hold this for a minute. Obviously, once we lost it, it didn't come back. But at that point, we were also underneath the 50 period moving average, which unfortunately is starting to happen right now. So the 50 period is starting to turn downside a little bit. So we may have seen, and I'm not trying to throw cold water on this. I mean, we're all long crypto. It's just now that you're finally starting to see a little bit of a downturn, you know, sometimes this is, you know, added to some increased moves to the downside. But again, you do have some kind of support here, and it's going to look like 103. So that's going to actually, which is pretty nice, coincide with some of these tops here as well, back at 103. So I think that there's going to be some kind of a push and pull back into here where we try to fight to see if we can hold it. So I'm looking to get long if we can get into 103 and change, which I don't know what that's going to be for IBIT, but we have it down here right now. We've been bouncing around a little bit there. Let me just see. Let me go into a 3-minute chart just to see. So there it is right there. So I wanted to see what that bottom was. So it looks like 103.30s. I don't want it 103.300. Sorry. I don't want to get too close to the price. I'm just trying to see about momentum. So that's 103.40. So that top is right there. That's where we started bounce off, as Sharif mentioned, 106.5, 106.8, depending on what you're looking at. But yeah, 103 and change there for crypto to hold. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then if we're going to look at IBIT, that's like 103 off of what we're at right now is like 1% down. So 50 cents down from here, maybe 60 cents down is, yeah, puts us kind of where we'd like to be anyways. So yeah, let's stamp that right now. 58.60s or so. I think I'm going to actually bid there right now. 58, you know, the 200 periods right there, 58.60, 58.70 to try to play for 1% and change dip down on Bitcoin where we believe there could be some possible support. So we'll do that in and around there. But yeah, crypto continues to work, man. I mean, what a good run it's been for everybody. Holding on to these Yeah, holding on to these ETFs since they came public have been pretty nice.
Bam.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, whenever something's at all-time highs. But again, the stocks are the same way. I mean, some of the stocks are going more parabolic than getting crypto, right? So, you know, you kind of like, people don't trust crypto, but at the same time, the valuation of some of these names.
Yeah, like you look at Robinhood, right? Like, I mean...
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about a couple names right here that have been on huge runs, and let's go find out why.
Yeah, some changes coming up, as we mentioned, for the NASDAQ 100 being announced. There's also this I just pulled up for Palantir, RedCat, partnering with Palantir to enhance autonomous military drones. Sounds terrifying. 0.8 negative right now, but $75 looking to hold. But I mean, this is one of them. There's SMCI, there's Moderna, a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, here's what's going in, guys. You can show my screen, I mean, if you want PLTR going into the NQ100, so we'll keep an eye on that. There should be a rebalancing possibly coming up for that. Microstrategies as well. Big tailwind it's got from crypto. And then Axon Enterprise. Not a lot of people know this company, but they are well known for tasers, body cameras, digital law enforcement tools. It's up 150% year to date. It was one of the trades that I gave you with AAPL. So it was AXON and AAPL that I gave you guys there a week ago. Moderna, Super Microcomputer, and Illumina being taken out of the NQ100. It looks as if, you know, the Illumina didn't do anything all that bad. They are trending up for 2024, but still a bit of a weak move since 2021 when they reached highs, Brendo.
Yeah, and it's a 100 club, right? 32, what is that? $32, just broken again, back downside right now for SMCI. 12, almost 13% here.
Apologies to Illumina and Axon, but obviously the four names that I think are more interesting for everybody are Palantir, Microstrategy on the additions, and then Moderna and SMCI for the deletions. And on Friday, that'll be the last effective trading day before these changes happen. Friday at the close, you should probably see some imbalances on these names. So there will be, I mean, whether or not it'll be some gigantic, ridiculous buy on Palantir, I don't know. I'm hoping, of course we hope it will be. But today, I like 75 for an over-under. You got to keep in mind on Friday, they just started, you get one of those inflated close prices on Palantir, like it was trading at 75 going into the imbalances, and then it was just at 76 change by the close. So I think a lot of times, like I look at that level, it was a good short at that level in the morning, multiple times, well, literally twice, and then a breakout later. So 75 is a nice little over-under for me. If we hold this at the open, I'm looking continuation longs. If it loses the pre-market low and hangs out underneath, then I think you can safely say it's a sell the news event. But my first look would be to go off of that 75 over-under level. I think we already mentioned Moderna has a 41 flat bottom that could break. I don't know if it will, but its volume is relatively low. Out of the deletes, it's SMCI that's churning through volume right now. Down double digits, it's going to be SSR. There's a 29 level. I'll look for an SSR bounce if you got to zip further back. No, it's in here at 29. If it can bounce off that, I'd look for like a pullback into VWAP. And then anything, if it tries to fill the gap into 34, I'd look shorts. Both those names, both in the note. And so Palantir and SMCI, I think that of those four names, they're going to do the best relative volume. Just a guess.
Yeah, I don't want to cover. We have SMCI on the board, so we'll.
Oh shoot! Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, you done screwed up now. Okay. Yeah, no, it's fine, Neil. Don't worry. You know what? You can just take tomorrow off. Okay, so here we go. So 76.50. Yeah, look, I wrote down here, the sticky note is out, and it's today it's pretty simple. I wrote down Palantir 77 long. We'll talk about that in a minute. It could be sell the news event because we're up from $64 since the move into the NASDAQ. So we had written down Palantir here, 77 long, but watch out on the tricky news, and that's all I could fit on here. And then I discussed it a little bit more. I don't want to go into too much detail. It would ruin sort of the point of talking about it and the point of the sticky note, to be pretty brief. But there's 77, so there's 76.50. The reason why I was liking 77 just means that we've cleared through some of this stuff. You can go long 76.50. I mean, that would sort of be the move, and I'm fine with doing that. I believe there was another top somewhere in and around, yeah, so 77 as we were looking, goes all the way back to, I guess, the beginning of the month, the 7th or 6th, end of the 6th there. So nice little break spot, could be possible. We never had a chance to trade that break. It did stop at 76.50 before. So I don't necessarily want to take that long. I'd rather just wait, get the confirmation, then play 76.50 as our support off of a 77 break long. And then the spot that I wrote down as a possible dip buy was nothing, because I'm not interested in trying to catch a knife on this name again. I've done that a few times, and it's like I cannot figure out where it stops. So I'd rather just let it stop. Hopefully everyone will yell at me in the chat or something, and we'll be able to understand where the bottom is. So for me, if I'm looking somewhere for a bottom, it would be low 74s. But I'm not happy with looking at Palantir long today, because you're up in the market and you're down on Palantir. So it's a complete reversal. It's like 100 points, right? Basis points. That's down 6. This is up 4. So yeah, not the relationship here from the NASDAQ. Here, you can't even see what I'm talking about. Here's the NASDAQ number right there, 0.46. So yeah, this relationship right here is something that I'm not super interested in right now. So we'll wait to see what Palantir wants to do. We're $1.50 away from breaking long. And then let me just check this out. Oh yeah, well, Palantir again, not on the New York, but these are the open imbalances right now. This quantum stock's been on there every day. Alibaba, Lemonade right now as we go. I thought Lemonade was a NASDAQ name, but I guess it's not. Salesforce with a small sell. So, okay, nothing going on right now. 9:25 is when we get names like Tesla and the rest of the NASDAQ to join the imbalances. So let's go over and discuss Tesla.
Right now to the tune of 1%, 440 holding this morning. I mean, a huge day on Friday in a relatively weak market as well. So this thing went out on the highs going into the weekend. Nice gap here this morning, 1% so far.
So their price target increase, Brendo, is $5.15, but that's not the bull case scenario. The bull case scenario is $650. That's an eye-watering number, given that we have an overnight high of 440.64. Some of the key drivers here obviously include autonomous driving as well as artificial intelligence, but there are also some regulatory tailwinds. They're talking about legislative changes that take place under Trump, removal of federal barriers, as well as the other new the Model Q. I guess we're talking about the new budget-conscious vehicle expected in 2025. And it should be noted here, very importantly, that the forecast here by Danny Ives and Wedbush excludes Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot. They haven't included that in the price target upgrade. So, if that catches wind, that could even be a little bit higher.
I mean, there's so many positive catalysts for this still. I was just reading, Kathy Woods-Ark was talking about Tesla and Waymo and how Tesla is better suited towards the Lyft and Uber angle at this point. Autonomous, like Waymo's taking, it was a huge chunk of, specifically in San Francisco, huge chunk of Lyft's business in San Francisco already. And Tesla with that angle as well.
To build on your point, there was a great chart, Brendo, about the actual rides done per day by Lyft and Waymo, and now Waymo's overtaken them. It should also be noted that Sundar Pichai was very specific with Andrew Ross Sorkin. He said that Tesla was #1 in autonomous, with Google being second. Those words came out of his mouth.
Yeah, so. I saw that chart on Friday, and I mean, Waymo's just straight up at this point. The other two are basically flat, so. We'll see what happens, guys. What are we thinking here for Tesla?
Tesla, obviously Tesla's making fresh highs again, but there's a bit of a pattern which has been pretty good on Tesla. And every single time, like if you look at when it tries to fill back in the gap, if it doesn't hold the prior close, like look, it pulls back into prior high. This time it holds the close. At the end of the day, holds pre-market highs. The next day, hold the prior support. Pull back into the prior high holding. And I think if that's going to happen today, the places that I'm looking are 29, 429, obviously. If the stock goes to $29, we're all crying. I think 429 and then 435. Like, I think those are the continuation levels. And we've been to this party before where when it just decides to break out, you don't even get any chance at those prior levels, and maybe we're just staring down a 450 breakout. but I think that's where there's room to. You just got to be careful. I think a lot of times running into problems on Tesla has to do with not waiting for it to get back to those levels. You know, that prior high, that's the key. If we lose 35, I don't want to be long at 32 and 33. I want to wait till 29.30. So it just comes down to that there for TSLA.
I was just looking for, thanks to my friends there on Twitter or on X for bringing this name to my attention, Zcar right now. It's not doing too much volume here, but we do have some securities and exchange situations here happening with the SEC down here. So we're going to have to find out what exactly notice. I'm going to find out what's going on. But right now, Zcar downside in a big way, down 71% right now. So one car name that you may want to get involved with, and one car name you may not. All right, so we'll find out more about Zcar, but thanks for the attention on that one, Twitterverse. All right, so we'll get into it. But at the end of the day here, I wrote down Tesla as a great opportunity. It's going to be the number one stock that I'm going to be looking at here. I wrote down the 200 period. It was 437. Now it's 438. Again, a drop down of $2. Like, I don't want to sit here and just buy 438 the minute it comes into play. But again, like up 1%, it's a long stock. It's a big stock. It's been big for a while. It always, I don't want to say always, right? But the moves that are in this name have been pretty violent. You can catch big moves down only for it to make new all-time highs, only for it to end at day's low again. This is just one day last week. Like the day started great. That's close to all-time highs, 426, drops into 416. I think this is when Owen and I was here. And then straight back up to 430, and then a drop back into 415 again. And then the same thing, I wasn't here on Friday, where you go back into that 416 level again, only before closing at all-time highs one more time. So yeah, I mean, this name has just been violent, but it's had great opportunities. So I feel like that's what we need to wait for. Look at the 200 period here on Friday. It held it all day, right? I mean, you're going to have to hold a couple dips, but hey, if you like the trend and it's your friend, you stay long. So for me, this is going to be something key. Could we dip into 435, 436? Of course we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. 432. I mean, there's lots of opportunities for some support. So let's just see if it comes through, or if we just have to break the top. I mean, honestly, I wrote down that that's something that we'd be willing to do as well. If the market opens up here to a nice bump, especially if we get that NASDAQ imbalance and it's a buy, you know, you could just break this 441 and never come back. So that's another play that's there. But, you know, I don't want to get too excited about Tesla, because the first time it broke, I think it broke 420, then it went to like 424, and then fell back down to like 403, or, you know, so there's lots of opportunities with Tesla. I think if you're looking at it, you're looking at the right spot.
SMCI, yeah, I mean, I put this one separately just because of the significance here of the overall move. It just rejected 32 once again. We touched on it again if you're with us in the first 30 minutes this morning. This one on the way out after a brief stint in the NASDAQ 100.
I tried to do my research to find out what was the shortest stint, and I couldn't find the information. I thought maybe it was SMCI, because I think it was put in July 20-something. And here we are in mid-December 16th, and it's being taken out. There's a separate headline, though, Ram, for SMCI. They are looking to seek capital, or raise capital, excuse me, by selling shares and bonds. They've hired investment bank Evercore, and it's going to come, obviously, amid financial challenges with the latest issues here. They do have till February 25th to get their ducks in a row. They still haven't filed with the NASDAQ. Stock plunged 17% last week, and an additional, I think, 12% were down in the pre-market, but still up, believe it or not, year to date. And due to its smaller market value, this is what the NASDAQ is saying, Supermicro was removed from the NASDAQ 100. They're not trying to say it's because of the accounting issues, but simply on the reduction in market cap. Take that.
Yeah, I mean, I had to zoom out here. This is a weekly chart for SMCI. I guess it's that week. So that's the beginning of 2024. So yeah, it's positive, but maybe a couple of bucks at this point. So we've given the entire move back. I mean, we're trading here this morning. So getting back to where it started the year here for SMCI, but a huge level.
Yeah, well, it is, 30 is a big level on SMCI, no question about it. But and shout out to all of the members of our chat and our community. But Roger right here is just firing shots. SMCI equals Leicester City. Now, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I have family in Leicester. And my cousin played for Leicester back in the day. But yeah, maybe not that bad, but it's pretty darn bad. SMCI, it's in a target zone that I at least think we could see if he breaks 30, there would be an SSR bounce level down 10%. The short sell, the SSR rule, short sell restriction will be in place. The uptick rule is in place for SMCI. That just means sometimes when it hits a nice level like at 29, if it can regain it, I'll just look for a mean reversion play there. Break of trend if it gets down to that price. But I got to be looking short here. It does have a nice zone in front of this 34 level. We're at 32 now, so you get a little bit of a pop, and then I'd look for a curl at around 34. I would not fight this thing if it gets green. So SMCI, this is exactly the kind of name that you could see some selling for tax for anybody that, well, if you're long recently, I guess you could be in the money, but there's probably going to be a little bit of tax selling here as well. And I could see this doing pretty well after they finally report into the new year. But for today, either it's an SSR bounce or it's that pop and fade in front of 34. We had to pay for locates, but super cheap.
What made me think about all this talk about, where it is on the year and this and that and yada, yada, yada. The fact that it's still up on the year is pretty impressive, in my opinion. AMD is down quite a bit on the year. Like AMD right now on the year, I was looking at it right around here, 140 or so it starts the year. Now you're down to 127. So the fact that SMCI has had all of these issues and still is up on the year, I mean, AMD down on the year, right? I mean, I'm going to assume here, I don't know exactly what, I mean, obviously we know Intel's down, but I just wanted to see, Intel was actually at the highs. I wasn't sure where. Intel is chopped down from 40, let's just call it $50, depending, I guess, yeah, January 2nd, $50 down to $20. So there's lots of names in the space that have actually not been performing that well. We talked about ARM and Qualcomm have some sort of a lawsuit going on today at some point or starting this week. I was going to look, so this could be another one of those names that has an opportunity one more time to get going as we look at Broadcom and sort of the rest, breaking through new highs. All right, so that's about all. I just wanted to show that, there are way worse names than SMCI. I'm not in the name. But if you are, I think the hard part about SMCI is, and it's equally as hard if you're an AMD investor, to be honest with you, because again, where was it? It was up here. We get the introduction, we get the into the NASDAQ. Everything was bumping. Everything in the summertime was at all-time highs. Obviously, now we're breaking it, but for chip names, all-time highs in the summer, right? So there it comes in, right back through. This is actually the summer period for them, in and around $100. That's probably where it seemed to have been fairly valued. Then we just started getting hit, and then we know the news of the whistleblower, and they still haven't filed. So, yeah, you're going to get these big, huge moves. Now, will SMCI turn itself around and possibly have to regroup, get back into this $18 to $25 mark before it takes off again? Yeah, that's very possible. I don't like the fact that right now we've broken below the 50-period moving average here on the daily chart and well below it now. So, for me, I am pretty bearish on this name. I wrote down again on the note today, and I paid for shorts obviously as well, that we'd have SMCI first. We'll try 33 short. That's where I'm sitting right now. And then we're going to look also at a bottom break of 31. So I like the 31 break on SMCI, which is right here, which is where we bottomed out today. I feel like we could get that immediately off the open. We're going to wait to see on the imbalances, but not good news. Still haven't filed. And now I'll get the obvious impending news of getting deleted from the NASDAQ 100. So, yeah, I mean, what Sharif said is right. That's what the NASDAQ bases it on. They don't base it on news. They base it on market cap. So, obviously, the news got them here. That's what's always going to be the case. Just like the news got them to be included into the NASDAQ 100 as well. So, for now, downside move. I'm looking short on SMCI. I think it's a pretty easy play because you can also get out of it, right? You take out this $34 mark. I think that you can get out $34.50. So, worth a shot here on SMCI.
About 5 minutes to go here. Let's get to Apple. Trying to go red to green once again. It's been basically flat for most of the pre-market so far this morning. This was the main story out late, what was it, yesterday? They were talking about 2026 for some foldable products. I mean, Google already has that. Samsung already has that. Huawei, et cetera. Ultralight as well. I was reading a little bit about that on the weekend with thinner devices, quote unquote thinner devices.
That should be interesting.
As well.
Yeah, I don't really like carrying these big devices.
They're chunky.
If I can get, yeah, they're super chunky. So here's the deal, guys. We're likely going to get a smaller foldable iPhone. We'll have to see what kind of form factor that takes. But we're also talking about possibly a foldable iPad. They haven't called it as that. They said a foldable laptop, but lots of speculation that it could be an iPad variant. Expected, as Brendo mentioned, as early as 26. Just to give you an idea here, the foldable devices only represent about 1.5% of the global smartphone market. So very small percentage, but that's okay for a nascent technology. It's dominated, as you mentioned, Brendo, by Samsung, Huawei, and Google. So we'll have to keep an eye out to see exactly what kind of dent Apple can make here.
Yeah, I mean, all of those you just mentioned are super high-end phones too. They're not cheap. So we'll see what Apple can do. 250, the top here. Chart looks great, guys.
I mean, the chart's been great for a hot minute on Apple. On Friday, Apple really tried to get to 250 at the open. Like, it was screaming into that level. It was just chilling out 247, where we are right now, and then it was screaming into the 249 half range before a hard reversal. I think if you're trading Apple today and it gets up there, it's probably worth a look for a mean reversion. I've been waiting for the breakout play. I just feel like the second time it gets there, if we break out above, get that $0.50 going, that it's got some juice to it. But at these levels, like at this point, I think you're waiting for the 246 where it's trading right now. Like, look at the consolidation. Since it's tested 250, it's a pretty clear line, 245.5 to 246, where the support's been on Apple. It's a little closer to that than it is to taking out any tops right now. So I think you got to play for a little bit of patience with Apple. I think the fold, it makes a perfect sense. That's what they do. I mean, I'm interested. I'm not an Apple person, but I know 20 people that are loving the whole notion of the extra space with the fold. And, you know, I think just something that makes sense for them. At the end of the day, when you have a consolidative range off a high, I think you mentioned this with Netflix, you just play the range that it's in until it can break out, right? So that's where the support is, down at that 46.
Yeah, foldable iPad would be pretty hot. But there's Apple right here with a sell imbalance, so it does tick a little bit lower here with the sell imbalance coming through. Palantir with a buy. Again, look, it was a good bump, right? 75 up to 75.75. So nice little move straight higher there for Palantir on that. Some nervous hands, as we talked about it maybe there in the beginning, just to judge what that news is all about. Unfortunately, here we go to the downside right now with NVIDIA. That's a nice little 300,000 share sell imbalance, as well as that was, we talked about it when it was rocking. Now we're going to talk about when it's rolling. And it's rolling down the hill right now without a stop. So we'll have to wait to see where there is a potential bottom there for NVIDIA at some point today, not necessarily on the early radar. What the early looks for me are, and again, we've talked about this, I like Micron. I thought this was going to be a really good break here through this daily channel and up above this 106.50. So we got to get through there. 200 periods 110, so whatever. I don't think we'll be holding it for that long, but if it does get up to 110 today, that would not surprise me. So right there, 106.50, but we did write down dip buy opportunities. Now the 200 periods at 105. I actually, when we were writing the note, obviously before 8 o'clock, so on and so forth, we are down here at 104, which is what we wrote down. So I'm going to wait to see if that level can hold as well. So that's what we're looking at. I do have some dip buy opportunities on Tesla, but I don't have any bids because I ain't sure. So we're going to have to wait to see on Tesla. Maybe we do get a bottom pick somewhere. I wrote down 437. I mean, we could bid that. Oh, yeah, the Bitcoin screen is off. There it is right there. My bad. It's because it was covered up by the other chart. So my bad right there, guys. Yeah, 104.3. Good point there. Thank you in the chat there. We do want to keep showing that on the bottom of the screen. All right, so IBIT. I said 10% down will give us to 103. That's about what we're looking at right now, so we can adjust our price. I am bidding 58.75. Why not? Let's just bid something at 59. We'll buy some 59s down there. That'll give us, again, 10% or so, early position in and around 103,000, where we've talked about some interest there on the 15-minute chart. So, all right, 103. We do have now less than 50 seconds. I was told when I came in, I saw a dare, and I was like, oh, that's green. Apparently a little teal feel to it as well. So I was like, okay, green, market's up.
Definitely green.
So at least we have that working for us. 30 seconds to go. We're going to put a different bid now on iBid.
Yeah, obviously, it's going to be a wild week. Got all these additions and deletions from the NASDAQ. It'll be culminating at the end of the week. But we got to get this party started first. We'll be looking at, obviously, Tesla. I like SoFi is going to be in play for me. And Palantir, MSTR, they're all going to be biggies. SMCI, of course, the bleeder. It's already heading down SMCI and continue to go. But for a Monday, and a happy Monday to everybody, Adara, let's ring it in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go.
All right. Game on. People
doesn't look green at all.
Saying there. So we are now ready to rock and roll. All right. So SMCI looks like it could be our first trade. Just gets down to 31 and bounces. So that was the spot right there that we were looking at for SMCI as a possible break for them. So SMCI right now looking like it wants to go. We are sitting here at 32.85. So I'm going to take a fill now, if I can. Just missed it right there. Okay, so there we go. So now we're into SMCI, small little short here. We are going to wait for a little bit more, but it does rip up into that 200 period moving average. So a small little take right now on SMCI. I'm probably going to give whatever I get on this up to like 35.50 or so. Something in and around here on SMCI. Don't want to, again, set the world on fire here. Let's let things settle down. SMCI does have a path.
You never want the world to be on fire.
No, so I don't want to set my net on fire. So SMCI does have a path to upside. So let's wait for it. 35-ish or so, 36.
So look, Tesla just came into VWAP there. First things first, we did get into SoFi as that took out its local high there. Actually was able to get some out so it took out a 52-week high and then came back in, retested the prior pre-market high, and now headed on the way to $17. Oh, Tesla's already bounced. NVIDIA is heading to the downside in a decent way here, down to 133, so not looking good for them. I'm close. We're close I'm close to getting SMCI here. It's down 10%, so you're getting a bit of I think like a relief rally or a SSR bounce, I guess is one way to put it. Palantir did dip and hold 75, so it's starting to look strong. PLTR headed back into the upside. Guess we never really, that was pretty quick. Looking over-under on the opening range, Palantir 75. It's still early in this move to jump into it, but let's go over to Adara.
Watch out for Red Cat Holdings here, RCAT. Actually, speaking of Palantir here, the companies have announced a partnership. So Red Cat partnering with Palantir to enhance its autonomous military drones with GPS-free navigation. So RCAT and PLTR here with that collaboration. RCAT does have a short float of 12.05%. And they're also reporting earnings after the bell today, guys. Back to you.
Oh, yeah.
Bye-bye, Palantir.
All right, so we're short SMCI. This is like what we wrote down. So as I said, we still think there's room to run a little bit here. So let's slowly get in. All right, so we're at 104.50. I'm going to take an opportunity to buy some more now of Micron. We just bought it back at 105. We were like, oh my God, we missed it. We missed it by 10 cents right there, right off the open. It got down to 104.65 or 15 cents. We're at 104.50. So we'll rebuy that near that bottom and then see what's going on right now on those names. But Micron coming back in. I don't want to give it too much. This is the 50 period right here. It's up 2.5%. So I was like, okay, let's go. Maybe we do have a nice little bid, but I can see some profits coming out of this name right now. So 103.50, I think would be the end of that trade. We'll average it back in down. Well, I mean, now it's well in the money, but we'll average it back in down if it comes near that 104 spot. So SMCI continues to work, baby. Nice little trade here on SMCI as we're short at 80s right now. We'll see if we can get a bid now. There it is. We'll see if we can get a bid now down in the 40s. Make them sing, baby. This is going to be a good one. SMCI. We'll see how low we can go on this one.
To the flow, apparently. Yeah, that's the attempt anyways. Tesla just got up to 443 with a little bit of a dip back into 440. Still got to be calm about it. We wanted to see if it could play off 435 first. So no real sustained breakout on Tesla. Going to quickly go over. We're going to go mRNA just to show you it's not breaking 41 because Moderna is now green and up 3.5%. So I'm going to throw that one out the window, unfortunately. We thought that one actually would be weak. Breakout got to 16.8 on SoFi, but then lost 16.5. So it's starting to head back in. If it gets red, all bets are off. It needs to hold green in here off 16.25. But the breakout got you up to about 16.8 and then now pulling back in. So try to be patient on Tesla, but we got to show you. I know a lot of people are going to ask, hey, what's going on with NVIDIA? What's going on with the chips? NVIDIA off of the lows. It just bounced off Friday lows. But you know what's strong? It's Broadcom again. Broadcom, another 6% to the upside on Broadcom. We didn't get to this one. I had in my note to dip back into prior. We're not getting the 228 and the pre-market lows. This one continuing to go higher and higher and higher. Rocket ship, Broadcom. Rocket ship.
Yeah, right now we got some big moves here as well as Micron finally starting to go. So we'll take something out here in the 30s. I'm now waiting in the 40s. Let's see if Micron can go as the market continues to go higher. And there it is, pushing it back down again. SMCI, I mean, we took a bid already. We took that out at 40s, right into there, into the pre-market. So now that I see what this is doing again, let's put another bid in and around there and see if we get one more piece out down near 32.50 again for SMCI. And as Neil mentioned, Palantir. Look, we've only got 3 positions. All 3 of them will be close to, well, SMCI is pending in the money, but that's just back and forth. So all good right now. But yeah, 76, it looks like there's that 77 marker we talked about on Palantir. We did not take it. We didn't want to take that level. Well, we want to take it if it went up, but didn't go up. That's why we were pretty hesitant on the 76.50 area right there. But here we go. 77 coming into play. We will hit that coming up soon. Oh, and in a name that we didn't think we'd ever have. What's that? Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way. Exactly. Do that. We'll hit some hot dog cannons. Maybe Intel can get going for that. It just went to $20.50. Okay, Intel, let's see if it can get up a little bit higher than that. But we'll put it out at 09 and then something in the teens, maybe 18s or so just before or just at VWAP. Maybe Intel can go. Another name that we wrote down there on the sticky note with almost 10,000 of you watching. Want to thank all of that. And make sure you hit the like and the subscribe as we've got hopefully a winner on Micron, Intel. So we've got only chips basically right now.
NVIDIA's dropping like a rock here.
NVIDIA's dropping like a rock. Okay, so that go ahead because that's going to be a problem for some of these names I have.
Yeah, just look, Intel, sorry, I meant NVIDIA just broke Friday's lows. It continues to go lower. It's bleeding, now down 2%. Yikes. Here is NVIDIA. AMD broke 125. It broke Friday's lows. It's also bleeding to the downside. I don't know, we always like in AMD short, yet I'm never short, like just not shorted at the open. It's crazy. But you had an over-under a couple times here in SMCI. It's the only thing we're left in. It just printed 90s and now starting to come back up. This is still on an upward trajectory. So the way I see it, like now that it's getting through this wick, I feel like if it gets through the quarters or early on it, that I can get out and try to get back in. For now, it's holding and we're in at 33, so it's not bad. But the missed opportunity is, I mean, has AMD not just been a short at the open every single day? I mean, yeah. I mean, look at Friday's move and then look at it today. That's all I got to say for AMD. That said, here's SMCI. If it can get into VWAP, which will be at 32.40, we'll take a little bit out there. But clearly, the chips are getting bled. At least the big chips are getting bled. NVIDIA, AMD. You've got Broadcom, which is still holding on to strength. And I just typed it in for Brazil. That's crazy. They have a Brazil stock for AVGO. Now it's 239 on Broadcom. I feel like at some point, if this just gets a dip into, it's not going to be VWAP, but if it does what it did on Friday and gives you VWAP, I think you try to take a shot at it, but it doesn't seem to want to. Adara?
Couple small cap tickers to keep an eye on this morning. UMAC and Usual Machines up about 16% with a nice volume pop off the open. No new catalyst on this, but you may recall this one actually got a pop last month after we heard the announcement that Donald Trump Jr. is joining its board. So UMAC here, potential Trump sympathy play with a short float of 6.83%. Then we have WKEY, WiseKey. This one you may recall from last week when it had a nice move to the upside. Also getting a nice pop in volume off the open with a 3.2 million share float. They actually, it looks like a day 2 play. They did announce on Friday they're going to be doing a launch with SpaceX in January 2025. So keep an eye on these 2 tickers. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying what you see. Back to you.
All right, right here we go, guys. It's a dollar club right now. Plus, so there goes Micron, man. We talked about this name. I was just saying to Sharif, man, we put this on the sticky note. We really like this name. There's that dip buy. into, I mean, that was a good buy, 104.80. We tried to support it down there. Well, not tried. This is on the way. 200 period. We like that trade, and there it goes now. Micron back through the highs and really starting to rip. So this is going to be just an absolute monster trade here today for me on Micron. And again, it's just like, welcome back, man. We're coming back. We're doing the same thing. We put that down. We really liked Micron. We really liked Intel as well. That's another one. So there we go, man. We didn't got reloaded on this one, but it is another one. So there it goes, man. Intel, nice little dip buy at $20, up to $20.12. We'll take that all day. So Intel, Micron going one way. SMCI, just hanging around, man. This is a flat name for us. I mean, we're up on it. That's because we took some profits. But right now, let's take some more if it does dip down below $33. I mean, the market holding up and getting real strong, man. So, yeah, this position could be a problem. But it's right now, it's Micron, a big one, right? So we'll just go props up. We won't go airplane. We'll go props up to everybody there in the long for Micron. I see you just got the one position. We're in the same one there with the short SMCI. So Micron, $1.40 now in the money, and Intel blasting higher as well right now with 14 cents in the money. So hopefully that can get going a little bit more. Come on, SMCI.
I just heard.
Oh my God, Palantir just broke.
Yeah,
that was my level.
Load. Palantir just broke the highs here.
It.
Obviously, if you were looking at the over-under, it's the first thing you did at 75 that would have worked out. But now you got to play back into VWAP and prior highs. They said join if it holds 75. I want to be a joiner on the long. So as it comes back into VWAP, we're going to get long there. There goes. Yeah, there goes SMCI through the $0.50. So into one and out of the other.
Micron.
SMCI just blasted high. Whoa. Okay, we're going to get to 450 on Tesla in about 2 minutes. So I know we're going to Adair in a quick second. I'm buying Palantir in front of VWAP, but Tesla really 450 already. Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla. Yeah, that Tesla's nice if you got it. But this is an actual trade right now. 107 right here on Micron. As Neil mentioned, man, some of these stocks starting to get a little ham here. Micron up to 107. Boom, goes the dynamite on that one. But Palantir hits that 77 mark, the level that we liked. I wish I didn't notice it. Right back in right now as, yeah, some big losers on board right now with Palantir. So SMCI obviously runs upside as well. Let's see what happens now with PLTR making moves lower now. Into the 30s, into the 20s goes PLTR. What's up, eh?
We have a couple small caps and other names here to be aware of. One of them is going to be BlackBerry, which is up about 12% right now. Nice volume here near day's highs. Announcing this morning that they're going to be selling their clients' assets to Arctic Wolf. So Arctic Wolf is going to be acquiring clients from BlackBerry for $160 million. So BB to the upside with a 4.5% short float. They do report after the bell here on Thursday, the 19th, so in a couple days here. Also be aware of DJT coming up at 11 a.m. Donald Trump is expected to give a press statement from Mar-a-Lago at 11 a.m., so make sure to watch out for that. If I see any more details on that, I will let you guys know. We also have the S&P manufacturing PMI data and other PMI data coming through at 9:45 a.m. Back to you.
Palantir is going down side right now. So we've both got these longs and yeah, not working out. Oh, sorry, that's Micron working out for sure. But here's Palantir. Looks like it wants to break through those 50 markers right now. So it looks like it'll be a reverse dollar club here for us as Palantir continues to make lows. But we'll see. We only got out of some of that position there. We're going to give it a little bit more room here for PLTR. 30 cents now, sorry, in the money on Intel. That one's really starting to go. I mean, what a good trade that's been, as has Micron. But Palantir there fading off that bottom, not great. Let's try to stick with it a little bit, but there goes Palantir downside, man. Again, not great. I see you reloaded at the top there, SMCI.
Yeah, SMCI of 34 we like, but I'll get to Palantir first, obviously, because we'll talk about the one that's going to bleed. It's going to lose 75 in here. And if it loses 75, that was the over-under zone. Got to be able to jump out of it if it cannot hold on to that marker. SMCI, the gap fill came to 34. 34 was, again, just zoom it out here. Let's quickly show you. 34 was the top end of this range, and then support going all the way back to last month. So if we break out above here, jump out of the trade, still looking for that curl. Tesla's pulling back in. NVIDIA actually lost VWAP, and I do still want to be long Tesla. Well, obviously, we didn't get Tesla off the open, but I think it's a matter of patience here. It's not even getting close to VWAP. If it's going to get to 450, lots of ways that can happen. Ideally, we'd get a shot at VWAP. first. But Tesla, rocket ship, 2% to the upside. We like to dip buy, but if it never dips, then sometimes you just don't get into the trade that you want. So we'll look for a consolidation. Palantir, so they're buying the one that's coming out and they're selling the one that's going in. Sometimes that's what happens. But we just went up and down underneath the 75 level. If it closes 945 above 75, I take another shot at it. If it doesn't, then I wait till 10 o'clock. But Tesla's coming into VWAP for the first time since the open. Got to look for a bit of a curl. Not another falling knife here. Let's try to be a little bit more patient with at least this one on the dip.
Yeah, definitely rough days trading here today, as you guys can see. We'll wait to see though here. Yeah, there goes Palantir. So I was giving it a little bit more room here. Let's just try one more shot here, as 74.50 was the 74. Sorry, is the 200 period right there on the 5-minute chart. So all right, numbers with Adara.
Just got here these S&P PMI numbers. Here's this is a flash, the first print for December 2024. S&P Services PMI coming in at 58.5 versus forecast 55.8, so higher than expected. Also higher than expected was the S&P Composite PMI flash, so 55.6 versus 55.1 expected. However, the manufacturing PMI came in below expectations, 48.3 versus 49.5 expected. So not too much reaction here on the Qs, up about 0.2% right now. Again, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit like and subscribe buttons, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara.
And
so you're still falling. Tesla just broke through VWAP, so you're still falling in. It's not looking very good. Just needs to, maybe it can bounce off of pre-market highs, but until I see some kind of a real curl, we'll have to jump away from that one. Broadcom, at least.
I can't
like
go.
This one. The Broadcom is just, there's no chance to get into Broadcom. There hasn't been a red candle. There hasn't been a dip. It's just nothing. Broadcom's off to the races at this point. So it's still going to be focused here on Tesla, as now it's starting to hold above VWAP. I don't necessarily want to chase. I want to see it close, hold above, and then we can jump in. To me, you're still heading on the downward churn. But Tesla, 1.5%, it needs to hold VWAP here. Like I think you're still catching a bit of a falling knife. Like to see a bit of a rounded bottom, and then we can try to jump into it. Yeah, Broadcom will just have to be really patient on. We're obviously not going to chase that one up at those highs.
No, so we got like the loser on Palantir, the winner on Micron. Micron $3. It's still going higher, but that Palantir, man, yeah, we're gonna have to wait. So we just tried the same way. We got out there at 75.50, bought it back at 74, and just was like trying to see if it could hold. We got some outs at 74.20s, but there it goes. You gotta. I mean, once it broke that 74, that's where we went and we saw that 200 period moving average. So we were just like, nah, let's just get out of that one and see what happens now. Like I don't see. And this is why we sort of warned about that on Palantir. Like, this could be a sell the news event. It started to get going. The problem was we liked the 77 break, but just because you like it once, you don't have to stick with it. But we stuck with it long enough to give it some life, but obviously a little too long there at the end of the day. Okay, so SMCI, we're 75 cents out on this one. I'm going to take a little bit more here at 34 if we can. I'm trying to be patient with this one as well. I mean, I'm hoping that we can do something with it. There we go. Now we're getting filled at 74. It was just going to be this 35.50 area. Somewhere up into here that I thought SMCI could eventually get to. So this is where we want to put on a little bit more. And if we can get it, then that's what we'll go with. But right now the market, trying to go upside. I just feel that stupid Palantir, man. I mean, we had that trade and then we didn't. So here we go, breaking through 74 again. Might be worth it one more time. But then we got to use that as a bottom, which might be a little bit too much. So we'll see here on Palantir.
Yeah, SMCI to me, it just broke away from that 34 zone. At this point, you've now got a pretty steady upward trend. The first dip did take us back into pre-market highs, and we're able to get a win on it. And then we came back into it. You're still in a very steep upward trend. Easy chance it can get now to the 35 zone, or just have to pull a mean reversion. Tesla, I mean, this is like it's still heading down. There has not been a curl on Tesla. So since breaking 445 here, you're now playing off of pre-market lows. And at this point, you need to see some kind of strength come into the name. Still not seeing it yet. Broadcom will be it's just going to go down as a missed opportunity on AVGO. And I feel like the same way I felt on Friday, where you're seeing it go. I know I don't want to chase it. I do remember on Friday it gave you a chance to dip in, but that wasn't until you know, a little 10, 10.30, so we might have to wait for that. Bitcoin just tagged 106 again, by the way.
Jeez.
So that is continuing to go. I did want to pivot.
On Palantir.
Coinbase just took out $325, so it's the only one of the names that's set up above a resistance level that's breaking out. Worth watching there. But now it's Tesla looking for the curl. SMCI 35 would be the next stop that I look for. It's almost like a reverse SSR where I'm just looking for the reversion now on SMCI. And that's just going to be a simple break of trend. If it can do that, then I wait for the next level. That'll be 35. And then up here about 35.70 as well. So got to be able to get out, look for another reentry. Tesla's holding 440, so it's trying, but no base yet.
All right, we're $4 now on Micron. So we're still doing pretty good, man. We still have about just under half of this trade still left. So this is the one that's trying to go. And I just said, come on, Palantir, do a Micron. But I don't know if that's going to happen. We're long here at 97. We just got some outs in the teens again, just trying to play a little bit, make a little bit back right now. But yeah, this name, I just figured like if the market wants to go, we know that Palantir can get bought up. But today, every single bump seems like, see, like it's trying to go above 75. It's not going. So then see, fade central rate again. Okay, here we go. We just got some 10s. I'm also in the teens. Yeah, it doesn't want to go, man. I might just like, okay, there we go. Get some 14s. We might just have to let this thing breathe, or we tap out and take whatever little profit there may be now left on the table for Palantir. I think I'm going to take a little bit more out here at 08 if we're, that's just where I offered if we're able to. Now it looks like it wants to get a little bit higher to the north side, to the south side, sorry, on Palantir. What I was looking at also, the corner of my eye, obviously, we still have Intel, which is booming. Okay, Palantir is starting to really revert back in, man. We got to watch out for this 73.50. But SMCI trying to do its best right now. There's that 35 that we had talked about. Nice little pullback here for SMCI, trying to be patient. But yeah, it's Palantir that's losing it again, breaking down below. So we might have to start to regroup. Good outs to the top side, but not a good trade on Palantir. Yeah,
SMCI just did a big wick into 34.80 and now putting in a little bit of a rejection candle to the upside. So this is, it's still at that 34 level. I was going to say weasel in, but it's not weaseling in. It's actually attempting to break a steep trend. So if it can get back to VWAP, that'll sit at 32.8, but you just had a nice topping tail candle on it. Broadcom's doing its first rejection of the day and pulling back, but Tesla, oh my goodness, Tesla, there just isn't a bid, and now you're headed right back into the pre-market low. So this would have been not where I thought we'd be dip buying. I thought you could have held on to 440 or something along those lines. But Tesla coming all the way back in to prior close. This would be another spot to look for a curl. It just hasn't done so yet. Got to find an entry. Wise key for everyone that's looking at this Wise key. Wise key is halted. The tap is now flat. It was indicating, it's now indicating 1162. So Wise key halted, volatility halt, indicating a flat open for anyone looking at that name. And Broadcom's dip, maybe already over. Wow.
Oh, it actually.
Adara?
Oh my God.
Keep an eye on ARM holdings here. ARM down about 5%. I'm not seeing any specific catalyst, but it is worth noting here. We did have CNBC reporting this morning that Masayoshi Son, who runs SoftBank, which has roughly 90% ownership of ARM as of when it IPO'd, apparently Masayoshi Son is set to announce a $100 billion investment in the U.S. during a meeting with Donald Trump. We know Donald Trump is set to speak from his Mar-a-Lago home at 11 a.m., so potentially an announcement to keep in mind. It's worth noting this has not been confirmed, just a report from CNBC, but ARM and DJT potentially on watch with that announcement, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, I did see that they're coming to spend those billies in and around here. So we'll see what happens with SoftBank and whatnot, as we know that some ARM holdings, very, very interesting play there for them. All right, so yeah, Micron just keeps on doing its own thing right now, up now almost 5. I mean, you guys want to talk, we were hitting the dollar club before when it was $1. I mean, now you're 5 in the money right now on Micron. And starting to continue to go, well, 475 right now and starting to go. So let's wait to see. Hopefully, again, you know, we talked about 110. And I said today we could get that 110. So right there, we called basically a $6 move, $5 move for sure on that one. We've given it all back on Palantir, which has been so stupid. So, all right, Micron right now. Let's take another piece out. We've done okay. We're getting lighter and lighter on it. There we go. We take another piece out here at 50s, at 45s. So now we'll have to wait on that one. Coming back in, thankfully now, is SMCI. So there's a good couple reloads. We're waiting to see if this one really wants to bleed out. That would be nice, but at the same time, things are going higher, man. The market's starting to really start to rip. Okay, Palantir, thank you so much, my guy. Right now, okay, so Palantir making me a little happier now as we've made a lot of that, not a lot of it back, but some of it back now. As there goes Palantir, we tried to dip by some of those down there at 73. We did it. We did get some out, but here we go. Nice little upside move now on Palantir. And of course, SMCI goes boom as well. I'm going to take some out on PLTR. Maybe that was the bottom, maybe it wasn't. Let's see how much we can hold now for Palantir. Again, patience pays off the bottom. Adara's mic is still live.
Yeah, there's a Z-car halted to the downside as well. SMCI is sustaining this curl, so it's right back into 33.70. If it gets to VWAP, that's now at 33, so I want to make sure we're profiting into VWAP, any kind of a mean reversion. And the mean reversion is this stock pulling to the upside, really. It's already done it, so I'm just looking for like a reversion of that back into VWAP. It's on trend. It's been strong this entire way. Tesla's starting to show a little bit of a bid. They just bought it twice. It just got bought twice off of Friday's close at 37 here. So we can close this candle green. Been trying not to catch this falling knife and looking for the curl at this level. There just hasn't been a lot of strength yet on Tesla. It is starting to show a little bit of a bid here that I would like to be able to get into. We were just talking about the crypto names. We just turned off that 36 level, so our 106 level. Coinbase does not sustain. Like, you can't join on a bounce in VWAP if it doesn't hold VWAP. It is what it is. So we're trying to be a little bit more patient there. Come on, SMCI. There's someone buying it at 33.70 to 75. I think if it gets through that, I got a couple of bids there in front of the 50s, and then I'm going to have some in front of the quarters, and then also 33 even as this one tries to get back into said downside. Broadcom still an absolute nothing burger in terms of dipping. I'm still waiting for a real red candle on that bad boy. Tesla's starting to curl. Let's see if I can't pick that one up. Give it to the local bottom, which is just underneath 437.
All right. Let's props it up for a couple plays today. We'll have one red mark. It'll be Palantir. We talk about that. But here we go, and we'll talk about all these as well. There's Intel 20 long, so that's perfect. Palantir 77 long. Yeah, 77 long. Where's that fail? Right there. We talked about how much of a move it is, but we said tricky odd news. Shouldn't have put as much risk on it as we did. SMCI, we're going to wait for that 33 short. We just got some fills up there at 35. We talked about that play. And then the Micron trade, which has been pretty huge for us as well. So Intel and Micron, the two biggest winners here today. There's your 20 long. I mean, we wrote that down. We're getting some out now as we break through the 200 period, just some outs there into the 30s. Big trade alert there. Palantir, that was running, man. So we got some in. We got a whole bunch out up here near that 74 marker, which is a problem because right now it just turned off of that completely and fell back in. So in order for this trade to make any sense, we got to get out if it breaks through 73 and just say, at least we made money on our last time. But yeah, Palantir completely getting rinsed there off that NASDAQ. And we talked about how it would be a tricky trade today, and that's exactly what it was. And there's the break long through 77. We thought we missed it the first time, which we did. Then we tried to fade it all the way back in. Boom, 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 boom. So, yeah, very, very tricky there today for Palantir. And I'll just speak for myself, of course, because you guys can always ask me, and I try to tell you. I'll be red today based on this Palantir trade. So I lost more on the Palantir trade than obviously I'm making on Micron, or I'd be green. Right there, but Micron's such a better trade because A, it was breaking highs, and B, here's the 109. So, okay, I'm just going to have to get something out here at 109. I mean, Sharif, this is a $5 winner right now on Micron again, so nice little move upside right there, and it's a clean 5. It's just boom, 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 boom right there to the upside. So we'll go, hopefully, we might have a loss there on SMCI. I don't know. We'll go 2 for 2, 2 and 2. 2 wins on Intel, Micron, Palantir, and SMCI Ls. So that's my day in a nutshell, Neil.
Yeah, well, Palantir is an L for me. SMCI is going to be an L. SoFi, more flat. I paid a bunch of fees on SoFi that I didn't like. Tesla remains to be seen, but this isn't the original. This wasn't actually the original plan on Tesla. I thought it'd be a little different. And obviously, we didn't get it off of the open for that initial dip buy, but it's now held the pre-market lows, at least attempting to. If this can get to VWAP, we're going to like it. And the best you can do is try to keep things in the pocket. And obviously, Palantir, I said over under at 75. This is what happened right at the open. It held that 75, was off to the races. We tried it back into VWAP, giving it to 75. So I knew where I wanted to get in. I knew where my out was going to be. The only mistake was, I guess, maybe not going short. I suppose if you're playing the over-under, sometimes I should have been willing to actually go the other direction.
Yes, sir.
So, that's one of those things you got to pay attention to. And I know I'm not going to be happy with myself for not doing it. But Tesla, I needed to break 438, then we'll go 39 and 40 to the upside. If it can get there with the market now taking, again, fresh highs, the NASDAQ goes. Thank you very much for the reload.
Randy, you got to stay here, man. We have very, very few winners right now. You got to give us a good luck. Hopefully the coffee will right now. Despite having $6 in the money on Micron, that was a good one. We got some diamond hands for that one. But Palantir just loses again. And as Neil's mentioned, tough times there so far today. But all right, that's okay. I mean, we're here to trade. Lots of names moving around. The Tesla trade's looking good as well. So Neil's got Tesla right now long. I've got my 2 longs and a short there on SMCI. We just missed the reload there at 34. Oh, it didn't get to 35. We're going to try again upside near 35. So that could happen as we go over to Adair. It's 10 o'clock. What's going on with Tesla?
Actually, a great look here for the NASDAQ to start out this day and week here, up about an eighth, almost 1% here. S&P 500 slightly less grid on the day, up about 0.35%. It's worth noting that we're actually entering what is, on average, the second most bullish period of the year for the S&P 500. So the second half of December tends to have some of the largest gains for the SPY. So this could be a nice, strong period here as we close out the year. Lots to keep an eye on here ahead of the FOMC meeting coming through on Wednesday, December 18th. Sorry, it's going to be around 2 p.m. So keep an eye out there for the FOMC meeting where we are expecting a 25 basis point rate cut. Broadcom here still sharply to the upside, up almost 10% following a stellar day one earnings move as well. Gained more than 24% on Friday and also entered the $1 trillion market cap club for the first time in its history. Then we have Microstrategy here, MSTR, Palantir, and Axon all being added to the NASDAQ effective, before the bell on December 23rd. So this could be next Monday. But also here announcing that they acquired $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin between December 9th and 15th. Now they have $27.1 billion worth of Bitcoin for MSTR. Last but not least, TSLA here up about almost 1% here, getting a price target increase to $515 from Wedbush's Daniel Ives, and also getting a price target increase to $360 from Truist Securities. So more positive analyst notes here for TSLA. This one will also be in watch at 11 a.m. as Donald Trump is set to deliver remarks here from his Mar-a-Lago home. So keep an eye on that, guys. Back to you.
Oh, Rivian.
Okay, yeah. Good.
Yeah, well, let's acknowledge the fact that Rivian is up 5% in half, and yeah, it's almost on its way to like $16. I was just saying to Randy, I'm pretty sure. I know on Friday I put an order to take some profit in my Rivian. I think it was in front of 16. I'm going to double check. I think I put it in here somewhere. We might be able to see it today. The market is now about 1% to the upside. So just quickly, this is the NASDAQ. It's blasting through everything. There isn't a red candle on a 15 in the NASDAQ. The ES has also broken highs. Although the ES is only up 0.3% because, well, I mean, Broadcom's in both of them. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's being led mostly by the NASDAQ. Tesla is trying to get into VWAP. It just broke 440, so this is finally going. It wasn't the original plan on Tesla, but at least now it's starting to participate. And for those of you that are wondering, NVIDIA got all the way back to VWAP. It bounced off $130 and now back into VWAP. If this can somehow hold VWAP and get a higher low, there'd be no stopping this market if NVIDIA would just participate in some of the fun. Apple won't break and hold above 250. And we said this on Friday that I stood there waiting for it to hold a bit above 250 to go long, and it was a short at 250, and then again it was a short at 250 here today. So I'm still kind of the same plan where I'm looking for it to break the $0.50 above 250, and we're not getting it. SMCI, the next dollar just came in. So took a shot at the reversion here, took a shot at the reversion there, and now it's at the 35 level looking for the exact same setup. The mean revert on SMCI has been to the upside. It's still red by 4%, which is impressive given that it's up $4 from the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, good trading here. Yeah, we've got a good trade with Tesla. Like I was saying, you know, it's too bad about Palantir, but SMCI right now is getting also near a spot where we've only taken. Okay, well, we took a couple outs. I don't know why that right there doesn't fill up that little candle, but okay, so a couple outs right now. We'll have to wait to see what happens here as SMCI is getting near our levels that we talked about, 35.50 and change. Our average price when it gets up here isn't going to be the greatest, but we're looking at this 36 where the 200 period lies, so that's going to be something right there for us on SMCI. I was not expecting it to be only down 4%. I mean, we were down huge. I mean, this has basically gone straight up 10%. I mean, we were down 14, 15%. On our watch list, it says SMCI down 14 in change. So right now, the fact that you're just battling like this, nicely done for SMCI bulls. I just think it's getting into a zone where, you know, we're comfortable putting on a little bit more here in front of 36. So that's going to be a play for us.
I actually think this will be good for Friday.
This is
in both cases.
Friday, yeah.
Well, if you're looking for those that are like, oh, with the Friday trade on Palantir and SMCI and Moderna, all that kind of stuff. Well, if Palantir goes down going into Friday, I think that's a good sign for the potential like buy at the close. And I think the same thing with SMCI. If it just keeps on going higher, but today is a different day. It got to 35. It just did a retest. And again, 33, 34, 35, looking for the mean revert. It's now $2 away from VWAP. When you get this type of reversion play, generally speaking, it gets better in terms of upside, like how much you can get, the higher it goes. But then remember, the trend just continues to go higher here. So each time coming in, trying to risk about 30 pennies on it with VWAP now $2 away on SMCI. At some point, we'll have to give it up. Like this was one of the top ideas, but you know, at this point, like on our best days, we usually do like maybe 2x on a mean revert of what we're losing on it now, and this is like our third crack at it. At some point, got to give it up. But there's another curl. First stop would be the prior high, 34.33, and then 34, and then VWAP sits at 33. Tesla's at VWAP and trying to go higher as well. And I know I'm a broken record on this, but AVGO is just still going. 246 and almost 10% up. It's just a straight rocket ship. I was expecting it would be a little bit, like it's wild. On the day of earnings, it dipped at the open and gave you the dip trade and then dipped later. There's just no selling on Broadcom. It's way too strong at this point. Tesla starting to hold on to VWAP. If it loses the pre-market high, I'm going to jump out of this one. If it can consolidate above VWAP, then we'll look for other re-entries here. Maybe we can get back into the high of the day. But this is still a failed break of the top and then a bounce off the lows. Like it's not all systems go yet on Tesla. It needs to hold a higher low to continue that trend. But so far, so good.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Micron to see what it wants to do. We just tapped out, so we only have right now 10%, less than 10% left. Actually, yeah, a little bit less than 10% left of Micron as we emptied out the boat. Remember, we had about half as we ripped up here. So good trading there, obviously, on this name. All right, let's look for some more names right now. I was still trying to monitor Palantir. It's lower. Like, so all the outs were actually, congratulations if you took some of these outs because this is continuously bleeding now, downside. A name that I was just looking at that I don't want to get, I mean, I'm already short SMCI and hoping that the market can come back in a little bit here. It doesn't look like it wants to, at least on SMCI. But on Amazon, it really is. I mean, that 232 there, that was a brand new all-time high today, right off the open. So we made that up to 232. Now it's fallen back in. And again, just looking at the 5-minute chart, which we like to look at, you now broke below the 200 period moving average and below the 50 period moving average. So although I'm hoping that other names continue to bleed down, it's looking like right now that Amazon is really getting pretty aggressive, taking out that 200 period. Some of the other tech names that I was looking at anyways, not not at the 200 period yet. And meanwhile, we've already talked about what's happened to Amazon. So maybe Google could be relatively strong if you get into that. That's 192.
Aren't these all weak right now?
So that still has a little bit to go.
Meta's about to go red.
Yeah, that was the next one I was going to look at, like where that one was. So that's underneath as well. A name that I thought could be bought at some point in and around here, as if you didn't get out at the top, you're now kind of like holding the bag a little bit on SMR. It's back down to 20 bucks. So this name got up here to 33s, 32s and change. Then this happened right back into the 50 period moving average. So on a daily news scale, and again, a part of this is funny because like you make money on Google going up with the quantum chip name, and then all of a sudden SMR coming back down in as we maybe worry about if we have faster chips, maybe we don't need to worry about running so many of those GPUs, but we'll wait to see about the power supply required here. But SMR and uranium in general, I mean, this is what, you know, again, we had missed the boat. We had thought about buying this name at $25, $26 and missed it when it was down into here, only to see this happen. Now you could be getting another playback. I mean, look, Fed is coming in on Wednesday, and they're going to be a quarter point cut. So we'll see what they talk about. There's some fear that maybe going forward, the cut cycle is not as strong as
they pause.
All of us thought it could be. So yeah, that's the pause is a little bit of a problem. So yeah, there goes Amazon right now trying to take out. Oops, not AM. Trying to take out 228. So yeah, this could go red very soon as well. There's Amazon right now, lower as we go.
Well, it's wild because the NASDAQ is holding the highs, and you just pointed to a flurry of big cap tech names that are not showing a lot of strength. They're pulling back in. Broadcom, again, up 10%. I mean, Tesla's up 1 point, and it's looking good. But, yeah, this is a very shallow move up to the upside that we're seeing here. Even Apple can't seem to go. So we're back. By the way, SMCI is now consolidating. Every time I feel like we're getting in at the right spot, but then if you look at it, one scalp win, break out the high. This one hasn't pulled back yet at really any point. I just realized I didn't have a bid at the $0.50, so I'm going to get on the $0.50. But Apple, which was strong, is now struggling to get back above VWAP. So suddenly this is not looking like the same rally that we had recently, where all these names are breaking highs over and over and over again. It's just an AVGO show as far as I'm concerned. I'd like Tesla to continue to rally, but this is another name. Like it briefly, like Tesla actually got to flat on the day, if not like a couple of pennies red. So if it can get back to the highs, great. But I'm starting to think it's a curl up here. I've already got a trail in if we lose 441 on Tesla, and maybe just got to pivot to some names that weren't on the radar before. You know, although I shouldn't give up just yet, because the other level on Palantir is at 71. And I didn't think we'd be trading 71 today, but it was on the note that underneath 75, 71's been a level, so has 70. So we'll look for a mean revert on this, but it needs to break trend. I need to see break of the trend line and reversal at that 71, or we're not going to jump into it. So trails in for Tesla. My out is at the local high on SMCI, and just for posterity, Broadcom is actually pulling back a couple of dollars. It's possible.
Oh, it's possible.
At this point, it would take a lot for it to get to VWAP, but if it breaks trend, I think I'd have to wait for that.
All right. Yeah. I'm still trying to find out some different names here. Shopify, not moving. You know, a name that was pretty hot last week, of course, was Uber. So back into $60. They did not have a good day Friday, I do not believe. What's up, Marty? Marty with the $10 for Adobe. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so at least it's up today. I wasn't sure what Uber was going to be doing down here at $60. I almost had a look at this, but we did not have a good day there on Friday. As you could see, opened the day basically at its high. Well, not basically, at its high. I think closed at its low. So not a good day there for Uber. Trying to hold 60. I still think, like I said, I'm not buying any more down here. We had recently bought down here, and we're only down in the position. I thought it was like 14%, but that's when we had sort of battled back up here into $62, $63. So I think our average long is must be around 70 if we were down 14%. So we'll have to wait. We need some work to be done there on Uber. And then, Adobe, again, Adobe had that miss, right, on their report. So they did come back in, and there was a 200 period moving average. Once this loads up, we could find out exactly, so obviously, we had that on the show last week, on the market recap show, and it looks like this might be its first green day since that report. So we'll wait to see where it can go. But yeah, this is at the right value there, Marty. So, you're down into some levels. We talked about buying names that you like at support and resistance levels. So Adobe right back into here seems to be at a good level, 462 and change. Where could we go from here? Nice move right there. Not going to be news-based, I don't think, but nice move on Adobe. You're trying to break through, so that's a 5-minute chart breaking through the 200 period.
News is Fabian bought it.
Fabian bought, yeah, I know. Fabian was buying this last week a little bit. Good job, Fabian. I think breaking through this 485 would be sort of the next level. So I think that that's very possible there for Adobe as we wait for SMCI to come back in. Micron's faded out, but again, we have less than 10% left. I mean, I was going to get a piece out at around 109. If we do bump up just a little bit into 109.50, we could take another piece out there. But hey, man, I'm happy if Micron comes back in. So far, so good as it's holding 35, a level that we wanted to look at. We have too many shares too early. So we have to let this one fall back. But I still do not Micron, SMCI.
Yeah, it's starting to show some signs of a curl, but it's not there just yet on SMCI. So VWAP just held on Tesla. So again, it'll be a new trail. If we lose the higher low, like right in here, 443, we'll look for it to come back into VWAP. I don't like the ES just curled and failed the highs, and the NASDAQ is threatening to do the same out in front of like 22,000. So I don't want this to lose this lower high, and we'll see about VWAP or 440 on the way back in. Want to make sure we can bag a profit on this. As Tesla, let me just zoom it out for you guys to the 15-minute chart. We've seen this happen before, where if you look at Tesla, like sometime between 10 and 11 o'clock, you can get that temporary high. And whether or not it pulls back and shallow pullback or deep pullback, this is generally the area that I think it makes a temporary top. And then as mentioned, here's what I'm looking for on, I'll just go to Palantir here and show you guys. It's trying to catch a bid. There was just a bottoming tail candle on PLTR. It's still holding trend. We tried the long in front of 75, fail. And now you're pulling into this 71, which was support. You have one day where we lost that 71, and then the rest of it has been strength off of this level. So this has got to be where we look. Well, this is where I'm looking for the reversion play. And the next time I draw this trend line, I will actually hit save so that it'll be in. New trend since it broke through 73. We break this trend line in front of 71. That's my next long shot on Palantir.
But we didn't get IBIT is like now $60. Wow. Okay. Well, we were close to getting that rate off the open.
60?
Yeah, well, IBIT is over 60.
Oh.
Yeah, 106. I mean, Bitcoin's at all-time highs basically right now. I mean, we talked about that 106.8 area coming into play. Let me call up a Bitcoin chart for everybody just real quick just to see what exactly has been happening. But there it is.
We broke 106 already.
Yeah. Big move. 106.1, 106.2. There's the high there, I guess. I mean, I think Sharif said 106.8 or so, but 106.5. So here we go. Nice move upside right now for BTC as we continue to go. Let's go to a 1-minute chart and just have another look. So again, yeah, very, very good looking chart there as there's the 50 period on the 1 minute. Just continues to go. We talked about 103 having some support. We found that because of 8 o'clock, but unless you got that dip buy at 103.5, no can do for that. Nice move to the upside right now, 105, 106 right now. So again, like the stock, like the name, and I'm talking about Bitcoin as a stock at this point because we're going to look at IBIT trading that as well. So now when you look at it, I always try to go to, we talked not 5-second, 5-minute chart. And it was just about where could pullbacks possibly be, right? So there's the 50 period on the 5-minute chart. That could be something. 250s are both in and around 104, 104.7, 104.4. But yeah, nice move upside right there. And if we just look at IBIT, because now we have enough to look at, so there's VWAP now. So 59.8 or so, $60 basically looks to be a good little floor area there for support on IBIT. But again, up another 4 or 5%. Like, wow. Great moves there. Did Amazon wind up holding that 28? It must have because the market's trying to bounce. Yeah, so there's Amazon holding that 228. So another possible play right here for AMZN if you like that. So good one there. Nice one with Tesla, obviously, as that continues to go higher.
Well, that was
the number one trade, yeah.
I just covered on Tesla, and this goes down to it wasn't the original plan I said my concern was the markets were. Yeah, I'm surprised it did that. I thought if it was going to break out, that there'd be no chance that we saw these levels, but I just slapped a trail on it, a tight trailing stop based off the opening range lower high. It might still go, but if it does, I'm looking at the market rolling over here. There's the NASDAQ and the ES both starting to roll over and just took it out. It might be the wrong play, but at any time I catch a falling knife, my general sense is I want to trail as it goes into the high, because you can get a double top and get a bit of a pullback. And then time of day, usually around this time is when it's making a bit of a top. So we're only in SMCI. I can join VWAP if that sets up. I'd like to see it put in a higher low. Ideally, it would test the top and then put in a higher low. I think that would be a stronger move. The other thing that's got me looking over is like Broadcom has reverted the trend and now looks like it's headed down into VWAP. So I feel like if this starts dragging things back into the downside, we want to make sure we've banked some profit. SMCI is probably not going to turn green for me, but it's starting to curl and starting to work. So one too many bids there. There we go. It's just got back into the $0.50, and then after that, we'll look for 34 quarter, and then VWAP is no longer. Its uptrend is so big that now VWAP is sitting at 33.5 on SMCI. So it's doing the mean revert, but we've already taken 2 shots at this and lost. This one, if we can get to VWAP, will at least be solid. But if you're looking at this overall market starting to curl, I blame NVIDIA. NVIDIA got to VWAP, and this is when we were trying to threaten to break that high. NVIDIA curls back into the lows, and then all of a sudden this market starts to drag. Unless NVIDIA cooperates, and you can probably throw Apple in there and Meta and a few of the other big cats, but it's led by NVIDIA. You're just not going to sustain these moves if this keeps on making some fresh lows. So we're finally getting a move down on SMCI, but we had to be patient. We took it at each of the even dollar levels, and you still haven't had a follow through of more than 50 pennies on this thing when I thought it could move dollars. Let's go to the small cap recap with Adair. Had a look.
Let's take a look here first at the IWM, which is, despite this topping tail candle here, trying to hold on right now to the upside, up about 0.4%, just below that $234 level. So let's see if the IWM is able to find a little bit of a base. We know it had a bit of a weaker week throughout last week's trading sessions. Now let's take a look here at RCAT, up about 14%, removed from day's highs, but this one's also on watch here with its earnings report scheduled for after the bell tonight. They announced here a partnership with Palantir to help enhance autonomous military drones with GPS-free navigation. And they also have a short float of about 12.05%. Next up here is UBXG. I was not seeing any type of catalyst for UBX Group, but it is worth noting here this ticker, which is up about 27% right now on the day, does have a pretty small float, around 1.5 million shares. Last but not least here, we actually have 2 tickers in one here and a little bit of a double catalyst. So WKEY I have up here, up about 50% on the day. They also had a nice move last Friday, so I guess this is a day 2 move for them as well with regards to announcing they're going to have a satellite launch through SpaceX. But then this morning we have LAES or SealsQ announced that they have this post-quantum technology in collaboration with WiseID, which is part of WiseKey. So WKEY to the upside in this catalyst as well, guys, with a float of 3.2 million shares. Make sure to like and subscribe to the stream if you're enjoying the content. Back to you.
Thank you, Adair. I'm super glad that Neil has that Tesla trade. But look at this. The #1 trade idea today, I must have just been too enthralled with Palantir. The #1 trade on the sticky note today is 437 long for Tesla. So that's the #1 trade as it was written. So let's go over here and look at Tesla right there. So this bottom for Tesla is 436.60. So there it is. So that bottom, you hold it 50 cents, it gives you $10. At the end of the day, great trade there, but we should have, I don't know where we were. That was the only name that we weren't like bidding or doing it. Like I'm bidding IBIT, the spot that we posted. And we had known that Tesla has, remember we talked about it, has this opportunity to do this. It's just I guess when it went up, we forgot to put it back down there. So it's good that Neil saw that sort of dip by, and good thanks guys, everybody there in the chat. And for everybody that has that, I saw some people in the chat saying that I wrote down that 436. So you're right, I did, but 437. But at the end of the day, you don't have it. So there it goes, man. Congratulations to all that did have that one, because that, again, so right there, off the sticky note, $7. And then Micron as well, continuing going higher. But here we go. SMCI right now is getting near that spot. Yeah, man. Where we could have a little problem right now. SMCI looking upside right now. We're going to still try to play that 35.50, 35.60 area where, yeah, that was coming into play right here, right now. So it just had a dip in. Like, it just went to 34, like Neil was mentioning there, like, you know, could get back to
finally
Greensville.
was starting to go.
34.30 looks like that was
that
the
might have been
drop
a nice little wick.
right there. So right into the 50-period moving average. I mean, obviously, this is a 5-minute chart, but right into there, 33.60, that was good. And then that was the last dip right there. But we're pulling back just a little bit here.
Yeah, so I think it might have been a topping tail candle, but I've been playing only those even dollar levels on SMCI. But it just came, here. It was finally giving you the bid. I said we take some profit at the $0.50. It wicked out the top, and I just jumped right back in. If it's going to try to go top wick on us, then I'm going to jump right back in the same trade. It's at the level we like. It's trying to put that mean revert. The other thing that's happening is, okay, now you're here. All right, Palantir is now closing. It just closed above the trend line on Palantir. It's the first time. Well, I mean, it's the first time pretty much all day. Since it lost VWAP, this is the first close above trend line on PLTR. 71 is support on the 15-minute as well. Just go back to Thursday. You can ignore Wednesday, and then Tuesday, Monday of last week, it's bounced off 71, so it's doing a bit of a mean reversion off of this level. If it gets to VWAP, fantastic. That's at 74. But if it plays to 72.5, 73, I will take some profit out there as well. Need this to close. This bar closes above, then it's also an add. Right now, stop is going to be at the low. It's only an add if this closes the 3-minute above this trend line, which it has a decent chance to do. But you still have a couple of minutes before that does play itself out.
Oh man, I cannot believe.
Oh no,
I cannot believe that's still that Tesla. But at least you got it.
Did you see
what?
Oh no, it's just the Rivian got all the way to VWAP and bounces clean off VWAP.
Randy was.
Rivian's a strong stock today. Maybe look if you didn't already get it, I wouldn't chase this. I'm not chasing it, but yeah, this one looks pretty good, up 3.5 points there. And sometimes when you look at the strong names, you just want to play the continuation on those. Broadcom, allergic to VWAP at 240. It just bounced $2 higher and is already $2 in the money. But I was looking for that play off the 240 level. Broadcom, 8.5%. The good news is, for those of us that are missing out on Broadcom, is if you own the market, you own a bunch of it. So thank you at least for being in the indexes, Broadcom. Let's go to Adara.
Just be aware here of NVDA. Not much of a reaction right now, but it's worth noting that Ming-Chi Kuo, who is that Apple supply chain analyst, has actually just posted a note here on NVIDIA, basically providing a testing update with regards to their GB300s and B300s, saying that apparently there's, quote, severe thermal issues with AOS or their array of structure, but also saying that order trends for MPS here or multi-process services might actually be, quote, better than feared. So kind of a mixed note here for NVDA with regards to that testing update for its GP300s, courtesy of Ming-Chi Kuo, guys. Back to you.
Right, Ming-Chi Kuo. All right, thank you for that one. We'll have a look at NVIDIA and what's going on. I'm just setting some stops here, still setting out that 35.50 or so for SMCI. But, I mean, look what's happening right now. We just talked about having Micron at the bottom based on our note. Like, if I just stay away from Palantir once it breaks 77s there, then we are completely fine. There's the Intel long at 20. So there's what it looks like here. And thank you so much, Jackson, for the nice super chat there. You know, that's what it's about, right? It's about learning and getting much, much better. So hopefully, yeah, again, if you have any questions, we like to take questions as well, not just if you have super chats, you can super chat symbols, but questions, and obviously we take that. But there it is. It's follow your plan. There's Tesla, so $10. Palantir should have been in and out of that one, and we knew it was going to be a tricky trade, so should have stayed out of it. SMCI is going to be the one that we're battling with. This is going to be another L. So we're going to have That's going to be an L there. This is going to be one. Micron is a monster. Tesla's a monster. Intel's a monster. So 3 ideas here, all with the exact levels, and all of them hit. So it's just, again, the patience and being able to know when you're in trouble and getting out of bad trades, right? That's what we talk about. So that's going to be something interesting there to study, right? Is that, when the levels break, how do you react? And I think that's the most important. So, okay, that's that. So Intel right now, $20.50, trying to go upside there. We just hold on right now, basically for dear life, as we wait to see what happens with SMCI. Definitely fighting the trend and not really feeling good about it. Right now, it's SMCI.
Yeah, it is it's rocketing to the upside. There's no doubt about it. It's a crazy one. Okay, Palantir, it broke the trend. But this bar did close above the trend line for an add. It just bounced too far to add. Like, I'm looking for something a little bit tighter to the 71.5 in here, but we're not going to end up getting it. I'll cancel. There could always be a chance. Like, the way it's been tanking, sometimes you'll leave it in there, and maybe it does dip back down into that 71.5. I know we haven't talked about all of the names, the additions and subtractions to the NASDAQ 100, excuse me. But MSTR is at least going up, possibly because of Bitcoin, which just broke again. I think we just tagged. Let me just double check.
Possibly, yeah.
No, I think we just made a fresh high. Okay, yeah, no, we didn't. No, we didn't. We just missed the high, like barely. I think maybe by like $100 or so. So Bitcoin missed by, call it $100 to $200, a fresh all-time high. Super strong day today, but that's maybe why MSTR is up. Because if they sold off Palantir, my guess is only going up because of Bitcoin, but a nice strong upward trend, at least for that name. SMCI, it did do a topping tail candle, which got me out of the first short that was looking good. Well, this one kind of, like, each of them start working. Like, every time I've gotten in, this curl was working a couple of times, then you get stopped out. This was working, then you get stopped out. This one was working, then you get stopped out. At some point, I don't want to be playing this. If it gets green, then if it goes red to green, I'm not necessarily wanting to play that 36 level, because 36.5 is where it goes green. So I'd almost wait. If it breaks away from here, I'd wait for it to at least test that top, but I'm only looking mean revert on SMCI. Palantir still holding course. Feel like that one's going to be okay. And Broadcom is still headed into VWAP. Yeah, so Broadcom is still continuing its pullback. If you watched on Friday, it was an initial bounce off VWAP was good, and then after that, it set up a bit of a trend down that it had to break. So it kind of trended back down into deeper levels, and then you looked for a trend break. So there's a couple of ways to join, either a clean bounce off VWAP, or it just breaks a downward channel to get back into this long. But only looking longs on Broadcom.
Yeah, I think, I've been disobeying by fighting the trend here on SMCI, but we're finally getting some back. There's Micron up 9% and going right back to highs. So Micron right back to 111. We still have, again, we have 4% left now on that one. And this is the name that I was talking about. We just took some out here ahead of the 75. There's a decent buyer there. I'm not afraid of that size. It's just someone's buying it. So I don't know if there's dark pools here or not, but it doesn't. There it goes. Okay, so I was going to say, good thing you just saw that in front of us. So there it goes. It breaks. We get something out in the mid 60s. Now we start to burn a little bit here on SMCI. So let's get just a little bit lower. We're at 34.53 right now to get some out. I just saw it went to 55. What a surprise. Maybe we get a little bit lower now that big buyer has busted. So, all right, we'll wait for SMCI. Maybe we have it, maybe we don't, but finally a winner right now for this stock. We were very, very, how patient were we? Almost too patient, to be honest with you. Like, we waited pretty much all day to get a move down, and now it's finally happening. So I'm not going to celebrate this. We put a lot of mental capital into this. Let's see if it goes lower. It's not even a win right now. Just getting out for flat. Our average price was 66s. So right now we're actually down on it, despite it saying 77s. Remember, we do that first in, first out math there. So yeah, we need to move down. Are we waiting to go to Adara? No, yeah, okay. All right, so then let's go over to Adara for crypto, I believe at 10:30.
This guy's been asking about Nike.
Of course, we're going to look at Bitcoin here as it made its new all-time high last night. But first, we're going to take a look here at Microstrategy, which is kind of a star in this category in its own right. Although on the daily chart here, we've definitely been in a little bit of a range here with a base of around 360, top of around that 439 level. Definitely a great look for this one. Currently trading around 425. Not only is it going to be added to the NASDAQ as of December 23rd, so next Monday before the open, but they also announced they've added another 15,350 Bitcoin worth $1.5 billion. Now their total Bitcoin earnings as of this purchase, which took place over the last week, are now valued at $27+ billion. So great look here for MSTR. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin itself here, BTC to USD, which has been on a great uptrend here on the daily chart. This is its 4th straight up day. As you can see here, we are nudging near those all-time highs made late last night around that 106.5 level. So let's see if we're able to break this level once again. For what it's worth, the catalyst that I was seeing for this move up could potentially have to do with the fact that we are expecting a 25 basis point rate cut coming at the next FOMC meeting, which is going to be on Wednesday, December 18th at 2 p.m. So something to definitely keep an eye on will be that FOMC meeting, but this is a great daily chart here for BTC. Ethereum also up on the day here, hanging out around 3,900, just shy of 3,950, up about 2/3%. But the rest of the crypto space is a little bit weaker today. XRP, Solana, all down about 2% and change. Cardano, Tron down about 1%. Chainlink to the upside, as is wrapped Bitcoin. But other than that, we have slight weakness on a lot of these non-BTC and Ethereum related names, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. And okay, Palantir's starting to get, if it gets to VWAP, that's going to be target on any kind of a mean reversion trade. So here's your trend. Okay, I can cancel this bid now because if it gets down to 71 again, there's no chance that I want it. But finally reverse the trend, looking for a VWAP retracement. If we break, it was like 2 green candles on the way down, one here at 73, and then the other one here at 72. The trail already moved to 72 when it got here. But if we can break out above 73, I'd move the trail up. SMCI, finally. So did a bit of a wick out. It's back to the 34.5. Just looking for the playback into VWAP. I'll still end up red on the stock because at the end of the day, it's like, starts working, stop out, stop out. I've pointed this out before, but like 4 times it has not been able to hold that high. Tesla, did you see the bid there? There's a 200,000 bid on SMCI at 34.50, so there's a big buyer there. Tesla is about to get to the highs again, so Tesla continues to roll 2% to the upside and looking like it wants to get to that 450 after all. There was a question in the chat about Nike, so I did want to address it. Was a few times Nike was mentioned in the chat going into earnings on Thursday. It's a strong day, up 2 points here, and it's about to get to 50 period. All Nike needs to do is break 80 and hold it on earnings. I think it's got a great opportunity. But someone is selling the boat at $78, $79, $80 if you haven't noticed here on Nike. Like every time it gets up here, someone has been sell. So if we can break through that, obviously, it's got a lot of room to rally.
Finally, I mean, honestly, it's like you wait all day for this stuff. I know Neil was mentioning being red on it, but this has been a tough stock. Like SMCI, like finally starting to bleed back in. This will be P&L number 2 now. And finally, like, okay, give me those 11s. I'm bidding 11. We can't. Okay, there it is. Okay, finally, we just got filled up there. So nice trade there for sure on the downside now for SMCI. Now $1 in the money on this one downside. But remember, that's not the average price is really $34.66. Again, we talked about why that was and how our accounting works and whatnot. So here it comes, man. We just take a nice little bid there. VWAP. The thing is that we've seen this hold before 34.80s and so. So again, SMCI basically top to bottom, a nice pickup up there, but and we just should have been a little more patient. We had talked about this 35 area, and even when it was up there, we're like, man, we do not have a good price. We do not have a good price. And guess what? We did not have a good price. But it was okay. 34.60s right into there was our average. So we did pretty good about loading up when it got to the right levels, and then we're trying to do a good job of unloading it when it comes back into some kind of support. So with the market being like relentless today, up that 1%, again, like we'll hold on to big bangers, man. I mean, we've got the big bangers here today. Make sure you do hit the like and the subscribe. But this is 55 cents. This is 50 cents on a $20 name. So, okay, we'll take it. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's Intel. And Intel being up 1%, I mean, you know, what was it, Groundhog Day or something? I don't know the last time that happened, but we'll wait to see here. Groundhog Day happens over and over again, so we'll wait to see about Intel. But nice move right there. Yeah, shout out to Bill Murray. I haven't seen him in a minute. I wonder if he's doing okay. Okay, Micron, nice move up to 111, now fading back out, but that's not even a thing. So it's Micron, it's Intel, 2 longs right now, back to back, and then this SMCI. We'll wait for a little bit of a further bleed, but we did good by getting that. So so far so good there, yeah.
if you've never seen it, A Very Murray Christmas is actually.
Oh yeah, no, I've never seen that.
It was a few years. It's a few years old at least, maybe even half a decade old. But it's basically like a bunch of stars. They're supposed to be shooting something, and they're all stuck in a hotel.
Okay, with him?
Yeah, it's like they're singing, and it's actually really funny.
Some stuff he does is funny. Some stuff I find is.
I'm a Bill Murray fan. I love Bill Murray. I think he's hilarious. But yeah, if you've never seen it, man, I think we
will have to see.
Like right up your alley. I'm adding it to my list of every year Christmas movies. But I love Groundhog Day is an absolute classic. Probably the best. It's the best version of the repeating day thing that's ever been done. You know, I know that
probably that's old too.
That Tom Cruise movie was pretty good. Not that bad. I forget what they called it. Shoot, it'll come to my mind in a second. So Palantir, it did just tag 73. If we close under the trend line, I'm jumping out of the trade. If the reason to get in was it breaking trend, then if it breaks this new trend that it's put in since breaking 72 and since getting to 73, I will jump out of it. SMCI is not at VWAP just yet. What did you just? Edge of Tomorrow, that's the name of the movie.
Google is going crazy.
Google? Oh, I said Uber.
No.
Okay, never mind. I pull up Uber for some reason. I thought you said
approaching,
Uber.
I mean, this is my largest holding. So, like, really happy with Google. We had sort of, not we, the market, and we anointed this as the potential next one because it was just like, it was hanging out, man, when everything else was breaking besides NVIDIA and whatnot. And even NVIDIA broke, you know, when Google was down here, breaking that 150 marker. But there goes Google right now, new all-time highs inbound, 198 and change for the close. I have marked down the actual official closing high, 195.60. So we are well above that right now on Google. Good job pointing that out, those of you in the chat. Nice move. Again, man, the 200 period on strong names. I mean, that's what screwed me up on Palantir. You know, the 200 period, we liked it, just didn't hold, and whoops, all the way to the downside. Good thing we avoided it right into there. I see that you've got that going back, and but still, tough trading there today for sure. Someone in the chat's like, we never talk about the SPY. Yeah, I mean, I look over, you know, we used to have different stocks that we would trade, but like right now, most of them are related to what's been happening here. I don't really look at, I've never really traded anything but mega cap tech names. So I'm still going to be doing that. But yeah, JP Morgan, there are lots of stuff happening, which is why it is very important that you stay tuned to what exactly is going to happen right now. And that's a sector watch with Adara.
We're going to talk here about, I guess, start with some of the weaker sectors because there aren't a lot. We have a lot of weakness, though, here in energy minerals. Notably down to the downside here is going to be PSX, or that's going to be Phillips 66, apparently announcing their intent to sell their stake in Gulf Coast Express. So keep an eye on PSX here. Health Services also to the downside. UNH continuing to sell off as we continue to assess the aftermath of the fatal shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson a couple weeks back. Communications also to the downside as well here. Now, in terms of upside, consumer non-durables pretty strong. Nike here to the upside have their earnings later this week. Consumer durables also pretty strong here, led by Tesla, though Ford is to the downside here after a downgrade from Jefferies. Commercial services looking pretty good. Finance a bit more mixed, but retail trade, Amazon to the upside and Costco on day 2 earnings. And of course, we have to discuss these tech sectors here. Technology services a little bit flat with the exception of Google, which is running to the upside, nearing new all-time highs on no catalyst. They actually apparently touched intraday highs earlier today. So GOOGL absolutely on watch. Now, in terms of electronic technology, we have Broadcom still leading the way here in day 2 earnings after its best ever trading day on Friday with day 1 earnings, during which it actually reached $1 trillion in market cap for the first time. NVIDIA, we have NVIDIA brought AMD, and Qualcomm all a little bit weaker in that semiconductor space. Back to you.
Yeah, I was actually just saying to Sean, ARM is distinctly different from last week, man. Quickly, well, first things first. If we're taking a trend reversion on SMCI, it broke the upward trend and finally worked, wicked out, got back in. If it breaks this gentle trend to the downside, then I'm going to get out of this trade. Otherwise, it's that or it gets into VWAP. So I don't know that it has the juice to get into VWAP. It's been resisting it this entire time. You haven't been under VWAP at all on this thing. So, you know, sometimes it's just time to get out. It already did it once. And SMCI and Palantir, sort of the same thing. Like one off the highs and strong, on a reversion, this one off the lows and trying to get back to VWAP, but it's been threatening this entire way. I might jump out of this one right quick. Broadcom is a bit weird now because Broadcom goes through VWAP, although just to remind everybody, on Friday, it did get through VWAP before making a bounce. Like the other long, it would initially try to bounce off VWAP and was good for a hot minute. The other long was when it got to VWAP and then set up a channel down underneath VWAP. Then you had a trend reversal to get the long going into the afternoon. So that's what I got to wait for here. You don't bounce off VWAP at all. I'll look for it to set up some kind of a reversion break. Right now, it's a pretty steep level there on AVGO. So Tesla's about to get to 450. It was a good dip buy on Tesla. Is what it is.
Just look at the chart. That's all.
Is what it is. It pulled back into 435, which is what we liked.
Oh my God.
It held it very nicely. I probably got out early, but at the time, I kind of defend. It tried to break in that trend, and now you're going to get that 450 break. I'm going to lean toward not taking a 450 break at this time of day. I haven't liked the breaks, particularly going into 11 o'clock. But if it does a fail break off 450, that could get us a pullback maybe into the 445 level. So Tesla's been good so far. We'll get something back on Palantir and get made some back on SMCI. So they're like as bad as, like one shot in Tesla was worth like 4 shots in SMCI. Yeah. Ideally, should have had 4 shots in Tesla, but is what it is.
Yeah, and ideally, we put all the work in to doing the Tesla sticky note, and ideally, it's also the trade idea #1, so I'm glad it's going to be Neil's green stock, but for me, I don't have it, but there's 437, so good luck on that one, fine, sir, and that's too bad, because look at Tesla, the bottom 437, so we wrote it down, don't have it, glad Neil does that, is for sure. We do have, though, I mean, let's call it like it is right now, it's an average price, we know, we need to get a little lower, but let's celebrate SMCI, maybe it can get into that low. So despite, we will have the worst stock of the day and then the 2 best ones with Micron and SMCI. So far so good there, but yeah, yucky there for Palantir. Good rebound there by Neil on PLTR. Intel, again, small pieces left. We got a lot out when we came into this area. Again, the pre-market highs, like that's where we're going to try to get these out. So when it came up into 40, we really layered it out. We really got some out here at the 200 period as well after being able to. And again, this is what I'm saying. Like we can write down these levels. We were lucky to get it on Intel, and we didn't even have a bid on Tesla. So my bad for not having it on Tesla. Good thing it was there at least. But on Intel, we did have it. We were scared, a little scared on Tesla. We should have gone back in on that one, but we did not. And then we talked about SMH there a little bit as well over the last little while. If you're battling like, I don't know if I want to buy AMD or Micron or NVIDIA or Broadcom or, any of these names, I had identified earlier to everybody, I hope anyways, that this was at the 50-period moving average. So all last week, ever since we've been doing the recap show for the last 3 weeks or so, every single recap show, I brought this up into attention because it's a stock that I like down into this area for SMH, bouncing off of the 50-period moving average. So right now, if you had bought, look, you're never going to buy the bottoms. We could talk about XBI and Berkshire and all. Let's go. Work it out, SMCI. This place right into here, 240s, 238, something like that. A good one there for SMH. So, yeah, all right, man. Like really happy with what's been happening with SMCI right now. So, huge move back in on that one. Of course, like we had mentioned here, both of our red stocks here today will be Palantir, and that just sucks. Like this is the only stock that we're red on right here today is Palantir, and we missed the banger on Tesla. So in what should be a good day isn't going to turn out to be because of the miss there on PLTR. So again, that sucks, but nicely done to the way back right now. That Palantir by far the reddest stock on the board here today at TTVL.
I just got out of Palantir. It just ran out of steam at 73. So it doesn't get to VWAP. And as I said before, like if the reason for the entry for me is a mean revert on a downward trending stock, then if it makes after the bounce, it makes a new trend on the same time frame and then loses that trend line, then I jump out of the trade. Ideally, it would have gotten to VWAP, but we're now flat, not in any positions. So Tesla does not break 450. Kind of thinking maybe you would do a false break at this time of day, but this pullback could come into prior high, it could come into VWAP, maybe even the 445. But I'm looking for some kind of a curl on one of these levels here on TSLA. And just because I haven't looked at any of these today, but the quantum names are, again, well, I shouldn't say all of them. I just know QBTS is going. So I haven't double-checked IonQ or any of the others. But QBTS, shout out to everyone and congratulations. If you happen to be in it, it's a double top attempting a breakout here on the daily for QBTS. I think it's about 615 or something like that is the actual high. Yeah, 615 looks like is the actual high. It's a couple of cents away from this break on QBTS. Be a little cautious with it. Like it's kind of topping out. You can see there's a bunch of selling in there. I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of tries to break it, fails a break, and you get something back underneath $6 for an entry. But a great looking long. The quantum names have been super strong. We have 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, let's start.
And I'm still being patient here. Like Broadcom now holds under VWAP again. So Broadcom's starting to look a little bit different than it was before. I feel just like with Palantir, need to be more patient with this entry. Like since it failed the high, you've got a pretty distinct downward trend that it's going to have to revert for me to get in. Like it's got to do the same thing where if it can close back above, break the trend down, that's going to be my litmus. When it's a very clear trend in the other direction, I need an indication that it's broken that trend or I'm not jumping into it. Palantir's still holding that higher low, at least for now. We'll see what it can do there. So QBTS looking pretty strong. IonQ, let's see how that one's doing. Yeah, well, actually, same thing. QBTS is just going to be more volatile. IonQ is only up 5%, but it's the same chart, right? So if you're looking for the bigger move and the bigger gain, trade that $5 stock. It's going to go 20%. IonQ looking just as good. Difference is IonQ hasn't gotten to its high. It's a good-looking stock. I still haven't identified a quantum name that I want in my long term. I don't own any of them.
You do. You own the biggest one.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, Alphabet, yes. So what I mean by that is, no, you're 100% right. I own a bunch of Alphabet. I think it's in my top 5. It's not my number one holding. But I'm talking about like a small cap name that gives you that bigger juice in the quantum space. These are all decent ones, but I feel like you're chasing, you're so far. Like this is up 6x since October here in IonQ, and QBTS is crazy as well. Let's go to Adara. See how the Canadian dollar is holding up now that our finance minister has stepped out.
Oh, he finally has? Okay.
She's gone.
Actually, the US dollar up here, slightly down on the day for the second day in a row. Definitely finding some resistance around that previous resistance area just above 107 for that DXY. You get a little bit of economic data earlier today at 8:30 a.m., a slightly lower than expected New York Fed manufacturing print. Then at 9:45 a.m., we got the flash prints for the S&P PMI data. Services and composite higher than expected for December, and then manufacturing a little bit lower than expected. But of course, the biggest economic number or event that we're waiting for this week is going to be Wednesday at 2 p.m. That's when we'll get the FOMC rate decision for the month of December. We are expecting a 25 basis point cut. And as of right now, the expectations for that cut are incredibly high. 99.1% of participants here, according to the CME FedWatch tool, expecting that 25 basis point cut. Only 0.9% are expecting no change. And it's interesting, these odds have certainly risen as well over the past few weeks here. 1 month ago, 61.9% of participants expecting that 25 basis point cuts. 1 week ago, it was 84.7%. On Friday, 96%. And now we are at almost 100% of participants expecting this cut. I'm going to keep you guys updated on how this number changes in the roughly just under 72 hours until we get that meeting, guys. Back to you. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Ooh, Palantir, you can go straight to hell, Alex Karp. No, we like you, Palantir. We like you a lot. All right, so I was just saying to Sharif and Neil how huge this day would be if not for, and you can't say this because you have this, you have the shares, you have the stock, Palantir. So again, pretty disaster right there today for PLTR. But yeah, Micron is saying nah, this is the one, man. So there it goes, nice trade here on Super Micro. Micron is also the one, but I didn't mean to say Super Micro as that's coming back in right now. I put an offer at 110 for this. this name, Micron, if it does come out and hits that, then that's great. But I don't, running out of a little bit of patience right now with that one as it's coming back in. We have 4% left. So baby positions on right now. Just because SMCI continues to fall, I have a bid at 71. Again, thinking that's... I mean, it's just this dip down right there. We already had a 71 before, so we're just going to play that again, see if we can get it right back. I mean, we might as well just take a 75, to be honest with you. But the way this name's falling, like, all of these outs have been good outs, but there's always better outs, right? So here we go. I mean, this is a big one. We're now $1.50 in the money on this super micro position. And the good thing about it is we've been talking about this with you guys for a minute. So it's not like this is a name that we haven't been looking at, right? So here goes super micro. Thank you if you believed in it with me. Thank you if you'd held on to your positions here on Super Micro. I hope we're able to make it back from Palantir, but there it goes. Nice move back in there for Super Micro. And again, Palantir was just more of a share size thing. It's that I liked it when it was falling in, so we just kept on trying it. We were able to get a little bit back, and then eventually it fell out of bed. And, we are kicking this one out of bed for leaving some crackers on the sheets, because this one definitely left something to, garnish down at that bottom 71. We'll hold out hope that happens one more time. So some lower bids here on $33 for SMCI. Looking at VWAP, man, $33.50. If we can get that, then great. Big trade alert here for SMCI.
Yeah, it's finally going to the downside. Looking great down there. Like, the thing about it is,
it's down here anyways.
Like SMCI, it did get 10%, right? So sometimes you'd get like that relief rally, and it's a sell the news. In this case, a sell the news event is sort of buying it back up, and that can happen. But once that does abate, you still have all the issues. They have not reported yet. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's going to come of it when it does do that. I just want to quickly go back over to SoFi. It's now setting right back up at that high. So it could not hold 16.5 early. Like, it did a break. It almost got to $17, but now you're consolidating back right above that high. And there is the daily chart. The prior high was like 16.63, I think, on the daily. It's a 52-week high. It's not an all-time high. I think SoFi's all-time high is like $25 or something like that. So it's still got a ways to go on the long term. But now you get a nice consolidation. If it can retake that prior high, great. Ideally, want to look for the consolidation dip into 16.5 into VWAP, or maybe we just take out that top at 70. SOUN is apparently going, wow, sound all the way at the top. Wow,
ooh, I like that.
This stock is a beast. It doesn't stop this thing. SOUN, another big day for it. Wow, that's a big double top. I think big double top, and it's already starting to pull back. I think you got to play patience. I don't like breakouts at this time of day. And then we're going to go back over to Tesla here. It's a great looking stock. It's already gone on the daily. So I think I would just wait for it a little bit. Tesla's still on its pullback train. Ideally, we get into VWAP and we can play this off of 42. But look what just happened on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ just broke 22,000 and wicked 22,000. So if we're going to do any kind of a dip off the 22,000 level, I'd look for the dip buy in the strong names. Right now, that's Tesla, Broadcom lost VWAP, and we're setting up some SoFi if it can hold this nice consolidation. Tesla seems to want this 450 in a very, very bad way.
Yeah, so I just, instead of, we got, first of all, SMCI came in, we get the fill. Obviously, it's down at 75, so far, so good there. Yeah, I canceled my bid on Tesla, but I'm going to put it back in. I think that breaking 350, at least it's a 450.
450.
At least it's a try. If we don't get it, we don't get it. I'm going to cross up like 30 cents or so. Hopefully we'll be able to catch a bid here on it. I mean, the dip buy opportunity was so great into the 50-period moving average there. And again, it's like, this is the thing. This is what I'm trying to do better, and I think I'm getting better at it, is to try to focus on, stick with few names. So that's why today, Intel, Micron, Palantir, and SMCI, all of them written on the note, and all of them traded good, sans Palantir. So right now we'll wait for Tesla. We missed that 437 as we wrote it down. We talked about that, but a nice little move to the upside there. Rivian, its friend, taking out highs again. So nice little move back into VWAP. So again, to have believed in some of these names, great. There goes Rivian. Our last out on Rivian, 1825. We'll see if we can get back up there and take some out on our own PA rate there. Only 3 minutes until the midday show where they're going to be doing all about lessons. I have no idea what the lesson is, but you can stay tuned in a couple minutes with Sharif and Big Joe. All right, so here it is, man. $10 holds. It looks like on Ford. I mean, down 3%. Didn't hold off the open, but right now looking like it, that's exactly where VWAP sits. So that's a potential there for Ford. We could check in on GM. I mean, trust me, I'm watching Tesla. Tesla's now 449.20. 449.10.
It's going to get there.
It'll get there right now, I think. So we're going to have to go back over. GM not doing anything, but here we go. Here's Tesla again. Damn it, in what should be, again, a big winner. I don't even have it on. But there goes Tesla right now, 450 coming into play. And SMCI went for a run, but then just came right back as well. So far, so good. But yeah, it's all eyes right now on Tesla as it just bounced again off that level.
It just went right to the high and pulling back. Only 2 minutes to go. Wow, Broadcom's actually going to lose the bid again. So it's not looking like it went from Broadcom being the strongest trend up of the names we were watching this morning to all of a sudden it's back to being Tesla, which just continues to rocket ship. It's probably going to break any second now, but I feel like the more I stare at it, the more it's not going to. It's like watching a wash pot doesn't boil.
Yes.
So I'm going to pull over. Like I still have it up on another level too.
Well, it's going to boil.
Yeah, it's about to break right now.
It's boiling.
See, the second I pulled away from it.
Yep, exactly.
So I'm going to keep it. Look, I'm going to keep it away, and then Tesla's going to make the break because I've kept it away. So Broadcom breaking down, but Tesla about to break 450. How's about now-ish?
Yeah, I mean, it just tried again, and then it fell back again.
Seriously?
It's back and forth about 20 cents. You're going to miss this punch, I feel like.
Unbelievable.
It's going to go. I mean, you might as well put it up.
There's an
right
88,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, so here we go. There's not even any size there, so it's going to break long through this, I would say, in just a matter of seconds. Once it gets going, there is no stopping it. There it goes, right through again. I don't know what I have on board. I have 30s on board now.
And my quotes.
So the quotes are what they are right now. All right, we've seen this before. There it goes, nice upside move. Let's see what now happens with Tesla. We're in this name. We'll get some out at 98s. We just bought that break. We're long at 450 30s. We're getting some more out on the upside. So there it goes again. We'll put some money in on Tesla and try to get it out as well. So a couple bang bang plays there for Tesla. Now $1 in the money and trying to go higher. It's TSLA. Finally, The Rock has come. No, it's just it did get to the 451. The Rock's coming back to Bombsville because that new movie is apparently not very good. Which one? Red One?
Red One.
I thought it was great.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's on the list. My daughter doesn't want to watch it.
She would want to watch it.
Well, I've told her to give it a chance, but she's like John Cena here, Rock here. I'm like, but he's Maui. But I'm like, she doesn't care because it's not actually Maui. So to her, Maui is Maui, and Cena is better than The Rock. And don't ask me why.
But The Rock is cartoon though in Moana.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
you got to see him in real life.
And I'm like, dude, give it a chance. He's a funny guy. But anyways. Tesla at 451. If we lose 450, I'm going to jump out. I'm not as big a fan of breakouts at this time of day, so I'll never take a breakout at 11 o'clock the way we would at the open. SoFi did come back in, so that's the only new position. I know it's 11 o'clock, so SoFi comes back in. If we lose 16.5 again, we jump out of SoFi. The market just made another run to 22,000, so we're barely above 22,000, but we are as Tesla continues to rally. If it gets to 42, that's the next offer, although I did not have one out. And then 43, 44, 45, but you know what time it is. It's 11 o'clock. The Bash brothers are in the house. We've got Sharif. We've got Joseph. Joey
Tesla's
Option.
$2 now, finally.
Let's go. Go get him, boys.
Let's go, Joey Option. Finally, Tesla.
Hey, I couldn't get a better spot at least.
Doing the introduction.
Why did I?
I'm not doing it.
Why do I?
Well,